I will go to the animal shelter and get you a kitty cat. I will let you fall in love with that kitty cat. And then on some dark, cold night, I will steal away into your home and punch you in the face.
All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Get Off the Stage podcast. As always, I am your host. Sorry, my audio is being a little weird here. I am your host, Claire Lefton, a film and journalism student at The Ohio State University. And today we have a returning guest, our first returning guest, my good friend Austin. Hello, Austin.
Hello. I'm Austin, a fifth-year accounting student at The Ohio State University, and this is a completely surprise,
yes, this was very
spontaneous episode.
Yeah,
but one I'm very excited about.
So basically the reason we're doing this is because we were just at like a thing for Off the Lake, just, you know, and our friends David and Elizabeth just went up to Elizabeth's room to like work on homework. That's in air quotes. He can't
whatever they were doing.
Work on homework. That clearly indicated to us like, okay, they don't want to hang out like that today. Love you guys. And so we were walking back to my dorm, and we were talking about shows we hate watch, and I was talking about Riverdale. We'll get to that in a future episode once season 2 is over. And Austin was bringing up Glee, and
now
I have a lot of thoughts on Glee, and so we started having a conversation, and so we were having a conversation, we reached my dorm, and we were standing outside of it for like 10 minutes in the cold, and eventually I was like, I don't have anything else to do tonight, we have a lot of thoughts on this show, clearly,
yes.
We want to do an episode about it.
Yeah.
So here we are.
I have a lot of thoughts as well. I was a huge fan of Glee. I'd still kind of say that I am in this really nostalgic way, and so bad it's good in a lot of ways way.
Mm-hmm.
But there are problems, and we will talk about them.
Oh, there are problems. I mean, I'm looking at a problem right now. We're on the Glee wiki, and I'm looking into Will Schuester's stupid face.
Oh my god, his face is so dumb.
So
honestly.
Dumb. But, so I got into Glee because my current roommate, Nora, she's been my friend for, like, ever. She comes up to me one day in 6th grade and is like, there's this cool, funny-looking musical show. And I'm like, that sounds cool. And so we watch the first episode, and I become obsessed. And I get into theater and stuff, and my 8th grade year goes to shit because of, you know, a bunch of problems with... It was actually theater-related, which ties into some of my problems with Glee. I got into crew instead of cast for a show, and suddenly a bunch of people who I was friends with were like, you're not talented enough to be our friend anymore. So I had to deal with a lot of problems, and I was like at the height of Glee when it was like most popular but starting to get really bad. And
yes,
so
season 3.
So so I have a lot of like psychological, emotional associations with this show, which I just wanted to give that background so when I get in further, you'll understand where I'm coming from. And also, Glee got me into other Ryan Murphy stuff. I'm a big fan of his stuff now. Like, American Horror Story is one of my favorite shows. It actually, in that 8th grade year when American Horror Story started, it eclipsed my love for Glee, and I became, like, obsessed with Evan Peters. Still am. Love you, Quicksilver.
Yeah.
And The Normal Heart was excellent. And I am currently a giant fan of American Crime Story, both the first season about the O.J. Simpson trial and the season that just wrapped up, I believe, about the assassination of Gianni Versace. Starring Blaine himself, Darren Criss, is a really good and really creepy, like, spree killer guy. I never thought he could do it, but Harry Potter did it.
Yeah.
So, Austin, tell me about your background with the show.
Spoiler warning, Darren Criss is one of my favorite things about Glee.
Oh, he's like one of the best things about everything he's in.
You're correct. So, my background in Glee is Glee was first premiered when I was a freshman in high school. So that felt really cool, like, I aged with the cast in high school. But anyway, I remember hearing the kids near the end of the year talk about it, about the Lady Gaga episode in particular. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
You didn't join at the beginning of the train like
oh, no, I
did.
didn't. Okay, no. And here's how I got into it, was that one day I sat down and on my mom's DVR was the entire second half of the first season of Glee.
The back nine.
The back nine. So I actually missed like the most logical, best series of episodes on Glee, which is the first half of season 1.
Yeah.
But so I sat down and I watched Hello, which was a fun episode. The first Glee song I ever listened to was Gives You Hell by All American Rejects.
Not a bad one to start with.
No, and so I sat down and watched it. I was like, oh my god, this show is amazing. And so I ended up watching all the way through. I followed religiously seasons 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
I remember very clearly getting real into the Glee fandom.
Oh my god, I was obsessed with the show. I probably spent way too much money, like, since my bat mitzvah was around this time. I probably spent a good amount of my bat mitzvah money buying songs from Glee albums and buying episodes on iTunes.
I never bought episodes, but I bought a ton of songs. I never had to buy the CDs because my mom was a big ardent fan of the show for the first, 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so she bought all the CDs, and so I was like, nice. But then I got really deep into the fan fiction side of Glee, and I'm sure we'll talk about... I'll talk about how that affected my fandom going forward. But anyway... season 4 happens, and I kind of, start to wane and then, season 5 was my freshman year of college, and I didn't watch at all. I think I watched, a few episodes.
I
at
dropped
that point,
off
the show
around the time when
apart.
it was, the second year of the new crowd, the new high school students.
Yeah, and I have complaints and conversation about that. But then... I knew, Glee was coming to an end. I followed it, casually.
I still haven't seen the last season, I don't think, because I was like, I don't care enough. I still don't care enough to watch it.
I had the opposite. I had the opposite. I was like,
I don't really care.
Glee is ending this year. I am going to go out with Glee. I'm going to finish the deal.
Went from the uppermost extreme an obsession with this show to... total boredom and disillusionment with it once I had American Horror Story, and I realized I was like, oh, you can make quality TV shows? Oh, good job, Ryan Murphy, you can do it. And there are other, actors out there who are, good. I don't have to tolerate, Mark Salling doing whatever it was he was doing. I can watch Evan Peters instead. All right.
Okay. And, how I like Glee a lot more than Claire does, but
it's not as much that all of my love for it was overtaken with pure unadulterated rage toward it. So I have very strong emotions for it, but again, we will get deeper into that as we get deeper into the conversation.
As much Glee was Claire's introduction to Ryan Murphy. Mm-hmm. I have never watched a thing from Ryan Murphy since, except I guess I watched the Glee Project on Oxygen when that aired.
I did watch the Glee Project!
I will happily talk about the Glee Project.
I have a Cameron Mitchell single still. His Love Will Wait For Me.
But then what Glee got me into, theater as a whole. Mm-hmm. And, I don't know if... I didn't, hate theater before I watched Glee. It was just kind of, the thing that existed. And I was like, okay, cool. Musicals are neat, I guess. And, but then, I got involved in theater. I don't know if I'd have gotten involved in theater. I don't know if I'd been as into it if I hadn't watched Glee and thought that, getting up on stage and singing songs in front of half disinterested audiences wasn't the coolest thing possible.
Honestly, I think it's easier when the audience is disinterested because you're like, oh, I'm fine.
Yeah, who cares? They don't care. They don't care. I don't have to.
Yeah. Okay, so the show, you probably know the premise. Everyone knows it.
It's true.
It's a Glee club in high school. They're the underdogs.
Everyone hates
they're led
them.
by Spanish teacher Will Schuester, who is the worst.
Yeah, he's so bad they have an entire episode about how much he actually doesn't know Spanish.
And he, the cheerleading coach, Sue Sylvester, always trying to
best
take him
character.
down. She's the best.
Yes.
Yeah, she's just mean and terrible to everyone all the time.
Yeah. But she's funny.
She's funny, yeah.
There's more than one character on that show that I'm like, they were really mean assholes, but they were funny.
Yeah, some of them were just mean assholes and they didn't have any redeeming qualities about them. Again, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
There's so many things we're going to get into here.
Oh, Lord. This conversation is going to go
This is going to go... This is going to... This is like therapy for me right now, is what this is.
This is weird nostalgia trip.
Yeah, so the Glee Club, for some reason, everyone hates them because they're like lame or something.
Yeah, they're like Glee Club is for nerds, even though
gay
like
nerds, and I'm like, okay,
gay nerds, yep. And it's just like, I never understood that.
No.
And I especially didn't understand it when they performed, everyone goes batshit insane.
Yeah, every time they perform.
Like, everyone's like, oh my god, this is so great.
And then immediately
like,
they throw a slushie in their face, and it's like, what?
Yeah, and it's like, why?
And on occasions, like, people from the cheer squad and the football team will, like, join the Glee Club for a number, and they're like, you guys are cool. And they'll immediately go back to hating them again. I'm like, why?
Yeah, no, it was... The show has a lot of writing inconsistencies.
Yep. The name of the game here is writing inconsistencies.
Especially by season 2, Glee kind of became this thing.
I think season 2 is the best season, personally.
I'd have to
Well, for
revisit
personal
that.
reasons.
I think
it was 7th grade, life was going great, and we got the best character next to Sue Sylvester, Blaine Anderson.
you're right.
Played by Darren Criss.
But I think season 2, like when I was watching it, I thought that was my favorite too. I think looking back, I look a lot more negatively on the fact, and what I was about to say is like, starting with season 2, Glee kind of takes this direction as a writing where like, they figure out a theme or like songs they want to do,
true.
and then they write plot around it.
They went from writing a show with songs they put in there to writing like picking out songs and then writing around them.
Yeah, and it gets worse as the series goes on.
Yeah.
But like season 2 was where they started the trend, in my opinion, of like
they did.
had a theme, and
but
and then who cares what if it makes sense for the characters to do X, Y, or Z? We want to tell this story with these songs. Yeah. We're gonna make it work.
But also less Will Schuester.
That's true.
And no Terry. That stupid pregnancy plotline, that was the worst.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
It was never a perfect show.
No, it was not. But I think it had a really fun charm to it.
Yeah.
Especially in the early years.
I really liked the original Glee Club members, bar one. Artie, I was a huge fan of.
Yeah, Artie
I thought he was super
so
underrated.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Kevin McHale does a lot of, like, panel show hosting in Britain now, actually.
Huh.
Yeah. Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Good for him. He's found his niche.
Yeah.
It was, Rachel Berry, who I hate Rachel Berry because I mentioned these problems with these girls in 8th grade, and Rachel Berry was those girls who could act as shitty as they wanted to, but because they were talented, it was fine, and they got away with it. And what bothered me even more about Rachel is that eventually they went from she's a bitch, but we can handle it because she's talented to, no, she's the nicest. And I'm like, at no point was that ever the case. And it drove me nuts because I was like, she can't keep getting away with it. This is telling me that I'll always be the Tina Cohen-chang, sitting like shy in the corner, never being allowed to sing a song. While Rachel Berry can insult everyone and stand up there and everyone, like, she'll get a standing ovation every time.
Okay, so, my opinion on Rachel Berry. It's markedly different than Claire's.
Yeah. Well, different experiences, so
yes.
I understand. It's mostly a personal reason why I hate her
I
so
completely
much.
understand why you hate Rachel Berry.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend like she didn't have those problems. And this is where we're going to tie this back to fan fiction, because when I got into fan fiction, the first relationship couple that I got into really heavily was I found some really well-written stories of Rachel and Santana.
Santana? Really?
Yeah! In fact, I don't know why I'm going to say this.
Of a sexual nature?
What?
Of a sexual nature?
Of a sexual nature, yes. I have no idea why I'm about to say this on a podcast, but whatever. Is that, like, my, like, fan fiction, my, like, username on fanfiction.net is still something about Pezberry. Because that was the first couple I got into. And then, later I got really into Faberry.
You will hear why I cannot criticize you for that later on.
And I also got way into Faberry at some point.
I'm sorry. I'm kind of laughing because this picture of Blaine on the Glee wiki, I know it isn't, but it looks like its eyes are crossed.
Yeah. So, Faberry is Rachel and Quinn. When we talk about
Quinn, cheerleader.
When we talk about Quinn, I'm going to go into a deep diatribe about Faberry on that one. But anyway, So, like, a lot of fan fictions, because they can be well written. Sometimes.
Sometimes.
And they would write these fics and they would, like, basically write Rachel in a better way, in a better light than than Ryan Murphy did.
Yeah.
And so in a lot of ways...
It was so weird. It was like Ryan Murphy knew she was a terrible person, but loved her anyway.
Yes. And so I feel like my feelings on Rachel are, like, in a way, like, tainted by fan fiction, because I think I like the idea of Rachel as much, or if more, than, like, how she's actually written.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I also have a very large complaint about the fact that I believe that, like, you could have made her a character where, like, she is this, like, bitchy personality and as a way of, like, how she voices her insecurities and the fact that she's friendless because she has 2 gay dads and is kind of a loud and boisterous person.
It could have been, like, a really interesting story if she has to, like, her whole thing is that she's tolerated by people, and they have to, like, you know, she has to learn how to not be a terrible person, but in the end, they were just enablers. That's what ended up happening. And she didn't change, they changed for her.
And part of that, my problem is, and I feel like maybe it's just I'm remembering not as well as I think I am. But I've always felt like season 1, there were, like, moments of Rachel where she, like, was a really awesome person. And you could argue, like, there's some sort of character development happening here. But when Glee wants drama or comedy, they liked to go back to Rachel being a bitch. Like, in season 2, episode 1, they bring in Sunny, the character of Sunny. Yeah. And she's super talented. And Rachel gets jealous, and so her response is when Sunny's like, "Hey, when and where is the audition for Glee?"
She sent her to a crack house.
It was an abandoned crack house, but like,
sorry,
but like that's what I'm talking about here. Is like they needed Rachel for dramatic purposes to be a bitchy character,
and then she sings "What I Did for Love," looking for Longley at like the Glee Club, having fun as if she was wronged by the world. Like, you sent this poor freshman girl from the Philippines to a crack house because you were jealous of her talent. Shut up, Rachel.
And it's like, I have a hard time believing she'd do that even at the beginning of the show. Like, let alone a year in, when she theoretically should be a better person and should have grown as a person. And it's just like, they do this all the time with Rachel. It's like, they need drama with her, so they just make her a shitty person, but they still want to tell the story of how she's awesome and everything, so it's just like, ugh, why?
Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, we got Tina Cohen-chang.
Yes.
She's the character I related to as someone who never gets the spotlight and just deals with it instead of complaining about it, because I don't want to cause a stir.
You mean until season 4?
Until season 4, when she's like, hey, why does Rachel get to do whatever she wants? And then there's like a body swap sort of thing in her imagination. And then she comes to the realization through living in Rachel's shoes that she has so much on her shoulders that she can do whatever she wants and is the most talented person in the Glee Club, which pissed me off more than almost anything in any show ever has. Because it was like saying, hey, Claire, I know that all of these people have been assholes to you for years, but, you know, you're just not talented enough to, like, have to, you know, get out of it. So shut up and appreciate the people who've been tormenting you.
Yeah, no, Tina Cohen-chang is a very frustrating character for me, because, like, everything Claire said, that covers the first several years of the show. And then season 4, because apparently they needed a bitchy character, they just out of nowhere make Tina this diva asshole.
Yeah, they do.
And it's like, why did we do that?
And they make her from like a goth into wearing like, you know, very bright, fun colors, which I guess is fine, but it was a really weird switch because I liked her goth stuff.
Yeah, no, she was really cool. I loved it when she like tricked the principal into thinking she was a vampire.
Yeah, that was nice.
Because the principal was a fucking idiot, and it was the best.
My hands are tied. I'd like to help you, but my hands are tied. Yeah, that was his thing. There was Mercedes, who I love. # Mercedes deserves better.
She really did, because
she was objectively the most talented person in the Glee Club, not Rachel. But all the time she was like, you know what? Rachel was better than me, and I'm like, no. Mercedes, stand up for yourself.
I agree with that, and I feel like this show probably shouldn't have tried to play it off like that, because Like, I would argue Rachel and Mercedes are equally talented, but in different
Yeah,
genres
that's
and
true.
styles.
That's
like,
true.
With it, like Mercedes had the R&B kind of stuff that she was really good at, and Rachel was more traditional Broadway. And like they tried to play it off like which one is more talented. I'm like, no, just...
They only ever had Mercedes, like, do stuff in competition pieces by, like, belting out the last note of a song.
Yep.
Instead of leading a song by herself, which she easily could have.
Honestly, one of my favorite parts of season 2 is when Emma Pillsbury is talking to Will about
I forgot about Emma.
Oh, Emma's great, but I loved it when Emma was talking to Will about his sectional set list, and she can just rattle off what he's gonna do because he does the same thing every single time.
Which is a great criticism, except they go back to that after that every single time.
He has this like, okay, we're gonna change it up this year.
And it works great because when Santana does Valerie, I was like, oh my god.
Oh, her doing Valerie was
great. And that's why I have performed Valerie, because I was inspired by that performance. I was like, damn, she is great.
Yeah.
And then after that, he's just like, yeah, we'll just go back to
We're just going to go back. I have a lot
We'll go back to Rachel doing a ballad as she walks through the audience up to the stage. And then when she gets to the stage, they'll do a group number.
Yeah. I have issues with Will Schuester's coaching style.
I hate Will Schuester so much.
I do as well. Okay.
I hate Will Schuester. I said it. I've hated him since the beginning.
So let's analyze how Will Schuester...
He's the main character when the show starts, because it comes at it from that point of view, because Ryan Murphy is an older guy too, but once he realized that he brought in the teen audience by accident...
Oh no! What have I done?
Well, I think it was originally supposed to be like a more adult dark comedy, like especially with putting the emphasis on Schuester and Sue Sylvester heavily at the beginning. And then it was like, there was like the fake out pregnancy crap. Yeah. And then he realized that with like the music and all of these, high school characters, he in an auxiliary way brought in the teen audience, and he was like, well, so it ended up, starring the teen audience, and then eventually Will Schuester was like going to DC to do stuff. Yeah. And I was like, all right, bye.
We're going to leave this in charge of it. But okay, so...
What was one of the most important plots in the first episode was, like, him and Emma, like, will they, won't they?
That
Remember when Emma Pillsbury went out with John Stamos was he a dentist? Dentist John Stamos?
Yes, and one of my favorite, like, retroactively hilarious jokes on Glee is when, in the second episode... Emma catches Rachel trying to force herself to throw up in the bathroom because she wants to be thin like Quinn to attract Finn. And God, those names.
I know.
And I'm sure, we will talk more about Quinn and Finn later. Mm-hmm. And Emma makes this joke about how, like, sometimes actors... like, get by on their looks instead of their talent, and an example she gives is John Stamos, and then next year in the show, she dates the dentist character played by John Stamos.
Yeah, but, okay, so there's Kurt, who became one of my favorite characters. He's the gay kid. That's his thing.
That really is his thing.
That is his thing. He's gay. And for some reason... that really was his trait, really, the whole time.
Yeah.
Which, again, is weird for a show created by, like, a gay guy. Okay. To have the gay character just be the gay one. I mean, they fixed it when Blaine came around. Right. But Kurt was always the gay one.
And I will say that, a problem with Glee is that, like, it wants to be a progressive show.
Yeah, and then it turns all of the people into, like, tokens.
It is the most socially acceptable progressive show possible.
Yeah.
Like, they don't do anything too extreme, too something that wouldn't be accepted.
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
It's just enough so they can say, look, we have a transgender character now.
Okay, I don't want to get into that storyline right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm not happy about it.
Oh, there are two trans characters, though. Are you referring to Beast?
I was referring to Beast. I hate that storyline.
Yeah, that was terrible. We'll get to it later. But, everything we're pushing to later. Okay.
Glee is a lot, but okay, Kurt, I hate that because, like, Kurt as a character could have been really interesting.
Yeah.
And in some ways he
was interesting sometimes.
But he
like
had
his
a
relationship
lot of...
with his dad
was
great.
Yes, I love Bert. His dad, Bert, is great. And their relationship was really cool.
His relationship with Blaine, perfect.
And, like, the episode where Kurt joins the football team and they win a game by doing Beyonce was amazing and hilarious.
Kurt's friendship with Mercedes was fantastic, and then for some reason he drops her and becomes best friends with Rachel after that. I don't know why. Because Like, she made him a worse person.
Yeah.
And Mercedes was, like, a great friend.
But then Kurt does things like his crush on Finn.
Yeah.
That storyline was bad because it was him desperately trying to force Finn to be interested in him, even though that Finn is definitely straight and was never going to go for it. And some of the fun things Kurt tried is like Rachel legitimately asks him for help with attracting Finn, and then he does her makeup in a way that would definitely not attract Finn. His mom, Kurt's dad, is a widow. Finn's mom is a widow. So Kurt's bright idea is to get their parents together so he can spend more time with Finn.
Mission accomplished.
Yes, but... And then there was one other thing I was going to think of that was like, God damn it, Kurt, why? Why would you do that? But yeah, that whole storyline was like really sad and like didn't endear me to Kurt as a character.
No.
Because I want to like Kurt, but then it's like,
yeah,
why?
I know.
Oh, and then like in season 2, he acts like a jackass until he gets together with Blaine.
He doesn't act like a jackass all the time. Karofsky.
True, there's that. When it comes to Blaine, he acted like a jackass until
when we'll get to it.
The alcohol episode.
Oh yeah, okay, true. Okay, so we also have Quinn.
Quinn, okay.
Who is it? Oh, let's get to Finn first. Actually,
yeah.
We have Finn, who is a football player.
Fuck him.
Who is he's the worst too. He is. You're gonna hear that. You're gonna hear the phrase "they're the worst" a lot.
Yeah, so
because these characters are so annoying.
My problem with Finn is that as a character, he makes a lot of stupid mistakes, which is fine because he's a high school kid, and so I'm not surprised that he does stupid stuff and acts like an asshole sometimes. All the characters do at different points in time.
But like Rachel, every time he does something shitty, for some reason everyone always stands behind him and is like, "You're doing the right thing," and it's like, no.
Yeah, no one ever calls Finn out on how much of an asshole he is.
Rachel used to be called out, and then she would be called out subsequently sometimes, but Finn was never.
He never has been. Like, he spends 2 seasons cheating on or wanting to cheat on his girlfriend, which alternated between Quinn and Rachel.
He would always cheat on them with the other. Every time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he was kind of homophobic to Kurt.
Mm-hmm. Which led to an actually excellent moment with his dad.
Yes, it was. That was a good moment. And then his possibly greatest offense of all, outing Santana in the hallway. I feel like we should save that for Santana.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's another reason why Glee is so frustrating, is because when it was good, it was so good.
I agree.
Which means that when it was bad, it was so infuriating. Because you know that they can do so well.
I've seen you be better. Why can't you?
I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. That's a lie. That's a lie. I'm very mad.
I was mad, yeah.
But because, like, the first and second seasons especially had moments that were, like, so good and so groundbreaking and really funny or really dramatic. And then out of nowhere, like, for some reason, they just started being terrible. And instead of being funny, everyone was annoying. Mm-hmm. And instead of just having music sprinkled in as like a fun treat, it became about the music. And it has a lot of problems. But anyway, so there's also Mike Chang, football player.
Yeah.
He dances.
He does get a little...
he goes out with Tina for a bit because Asian.
They don't even try to pretend like that couple wasn't just because they're both Asian. They play into it in the show, in character. And he has like a little bit of character development in season 3 when his dad is like, "No, you must get straight A's and go to Stanford and Harvard. You can't do the dance."
There's... What's his name? Matt? He never speaks. He's there for the first season.
And then he leaves, and then we get Sam Evans, and he's much better.
Yeah. You may also know, who are we just talking about? Mike Chang.
We did Mike.
You may also know Harry Shum Jr. in the modern day from the Shadow Hunters Mortal Instruments show, where he's actually really good on that. He's good. He's like a warlock. He's like a gay warlock. It's great.
Interesting.
Well, a bisexual warlock who's in love with a gay shadow hunter. Anyway.
Interesting.
Uh-huh.
I think we were on Quinn next. I don't know, like...
Yeah, we can start delving into things now. All right, Quinn.
Boy.
Quinn is a cheerleader. She gets pregnant in the first season. Oh, maybe we should do Puck first.
Do we have to talk about Puck?
We'll just get it over with. Okay, so Puck is a mohawked football player who starts out as a villain.
He's the delinquent. That's his
delinquent.
character.
And then he gets the cheerleader Quinn pregnant.
Yep.
And we'll just get this out of the way. Another reason I really don't want to rewatch Glee is because of the character of Puck and his actor Mark Salling. Do we?
Yeah.
All right, let's.
I feel like we need to explain what happened with Mark Salling. To really
So Mark Salling turned out to be a pedophile.
Yep.
They found a lot of child porn in his house.
And as I told Claire, there's a
And wait, and
Wait,
then
we'll finish the story and then I'll tell
then
my part.
he ended up killing himself.
Yeah. Right. So, and there's a joke in Glee, and during season 2, Puck and his girlfriend Lauren, they have this scheme to, like, make money doing a porno. And then they, like, there's a joke about how, like, they stopped doing it because then they learned that them doing porn counts as child pornography. And it's just like, oh god. Like, Puck was involved in a child porn joke.
Yeah.
But yeah, Puck's big character storyline really is just he gets Quinn pregnant, and Quinn is like, no, what are you talking about? No, Finn got me pregnant, yeah. And then it eventually comes out.
And they give the baby to Idina Menzel. Anyway.
Yes, they do! And just, yeah. And I'm sad that I can't look at Puck the same way, because he also had one of my favorite lines in the entire show.
What was
When Quinn starts passing it around that, like, she got pregnant by Finn, and Finn and her have never had sex, and Puck,
she's the president of the Chastity Club.
Yeah.
That was funny too.
That fun episode was funny, and then Puck corners her in the hallway about it, and he's like, "Well, I better call the Vatican because we got ourselves another immaculate conception."
Yeah.
And yeah, but Puck's character is really uncomfortable to look at now. And in season 3, okay, so for context, Rachel's mom is Idina Menzel. Well, her character is played by Idina Menzel. And she has this weird, like, relationship with Rachel where she, like, kind of wants to be in her life and then kind of doesn't. It sucks. And then season 3, she's teaching at the school now, and Puck starts having sex with her. Yep.
Anyway.
And he sings 2 different songs.
He sings Hot for Teacher.
He sings Hot for Teacher to her in the Glee Club with everyone there. And then in a later episode, he sings I'm the Only One by Melissa Etheridge to her. And it's just like, dude.
Oh, the retroactive shame.
It's retroactively so bad.
Oh my god.
But now we can talk about Quinn.
Okay, thank God. Okay, let's move on from Mark Salling.
Yeah.
Alright, Quinn.
Yeah, she's a cheerleader, and her big thing is in the first season is she gets pregnant, and she comes from like
Really Catholic,
a really Catholic Christian family, and so like once it comes out that she's pregnant, she gets thrown out, and she has to like figure out a way to live. Mm-hmm. But also, and my running theory that is I don't see how this couldn't be how this played out is that Quinn is very gay for Rachel.
Well, she has sex with Santana.
That's true, but that's much later.
Yeah.
Like, after they leave high school. And I have long amounts of, like, evidence of this.
Oh, no, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Barry was a huge thing.
It's very popular ship, but I also am, like, confident that Quinn was legitimately had feelings for Rachel because of the way she treated her. Because
confirmed bisexual later on, so.
Yeah, and, like, and she, like, would say things that are very suspect. Like, when the big part of the love triangle problem of Finn, Rachel, and Quinn, where all of them looked like assholes.
They always all look like assholes.
You're right. And Quinn, like...
Because they always cheat.
Yeah.
Like, one of them will finally end up with Finn, and then they'll cheat. And it's like, why?
Yeah, and then... But, like, at this time, Quinn is pregnant, and everyone thinks it's her and Finn's baby, and this is still love triangle thing is still happening. And Quinn makes this comment about how, like, I know that, like, guys like to cheat on pregnant girls, and, like, you can do that if you want, but don't cheat on me with Rachel. And I'm like, so your problem is with Rachel, not Finn.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, she has this one sequence with this one really gay dream sequence with chicks in the football outfits.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of little things throughout the song. I don't have my list with me of, like, Faberry moments.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my running theory on Quinn. And then...
Brittany!
Yeah.
Brittany's fun.
Yeah, she was not even really supposed to be a thing on the show. Like, she just...
Cheerleader, starts out as dumb and then gets concerningly stupid.
And then, like, somehow gets smart?
By accident.
By accident, yes. And she always had she had a lot of really funny lines in, like, a ditzy cheerleader way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she talked about how she's pretty sure that her cat is reading her diary and smoking cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
And then she makes some comment that, like, are dolphins just gay
sharks?
sharks?
Yeah.
And she is best friends with / future girlfriend / future
wife
with
Santana. Santana starts out as the biggest bitch in high school. She's a cheerleader, best friends with Brittany. And then they give her a song once with Mercedes, and you're like, oh shit, she actually has a good voice.
Oh my god! Yeah,
does.
they never let Santana really sing in the first season. Now that I think about it,
It was like her, Mike, Matt, Brittany never sang because they were like background dancer, basically. They were like in there to be dancers.
That's basically what they existed to do. But yeah, and then Santana has a big whole arc about, like, coming to accept her sexuality
because she's Lebanese.
Yes, as Brittany says, she's Lebanese.
Mm-hmm. And so we're gonna get on in the subject about Santana. Why Finn is such a monster. You tend to, like, know more details about this because you've watched it more recently than I have. So
yeah. So okay, so let's set the stage. So in season 3, they think the fun thing to do is have the school to have 2 Glee clubs instead of 1, and they compete against each other.
It's because Sugar Mata. Oh my god, remember Sugar Mata?
Okay, so as someone who has autism and Asperger's syndrome, I really hated Sugar Mata because her thing was she was the spoiled rich girl and she would say shitty things to everybody and then be like, oops, sorry, Asperger's. And I was just like, I hate you.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she can't sing worth a lick, and so they don't let her into Glee Club.
Right.
And so she has her rich, possibly mafia dad buy a new Glee Club.
And so that's where Idina Menzel comes in.
Yes, as the teacher. And then, like, half of the original Glee Club leaves, like Santana and Mercedes, because
justifiably, they never get to sing because Rachel always gets every solo ever.
We'll talk about Schuster's teaching methods and why this is a problem.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so that's the setup, is that they're, like, competing Glee Clubs now.
Mm-hmm.
And Santana starts trash-talking Finn. Like, she talks about, like, how chubby he is and make other derogatory remarks. And Finn can't handle it. Like, he can't figure out how to, like, respond in a way that would, like, make Santana shut up. And at one point, at the end of the episode, I'd like to point out, this is in a crowded hallway at school when he says this. He's like, maybe you'd stop, you should just come out of the closet and be with Brittany.
Does he know at that point for a fact?
Yeah.
How does he find out?
I mean, it's like the worst kept secret of the Glee Club because
that's
Brittany
true.
can't shut up about it.
Yeah,
like
that's
like
fair.
she makes some comment like during like a phone conversation with like the whole Glee Club. She makes some comment about how like sex isn't dating because if it was, Santana and I would be dating.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's like everyone kind of knows, but Santana's not out because she's not comfortable with it. And
because
then,
she also comes from really religious families.
Yes, she does. And then so Finn says this in a crowded fucking hallway, and Santana's, of course, taken aback by this.
Obviously.
But then later we learn that not only were you in the crowded hallway. Okay, so for other context. At the time, Kurt's dad is running against Sue Sylvester for a seat in Congress. because that's just where the show went.
Yeah, I forget all of these little tangents, and I'm like, oh my god, that did happen.
Yeah, and so...
Bert wins, right?
Yeah, Bert wins. Yeah. But there was also this other guy, this skeezy pizza guy. I don't even remember his name. I don't really care.
Uh-huh.
And his daughter was listening to Santana and Finn, and she tells her dad, and her dad runs an attack ad on Sue Sylvester for being like, you have a lesbian as your head cheerleader. What does that say about you? And so not only is Santana outed to the school, she is outed as a lesbian to the entire state of Ohio.
Yeah.
And so she is understandably upset about this, and she ends up like punching Finn straight in the face.
Oh, it felt so good.
It was so good.
It was after like an Adele song, and I was like, yes. Yep. I'd never felt so empowered as like a queer woman before. I was like, oh, this feels so good.
Yeah, and so then she's obviously taken to the principal's office, because, you kind of have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they think they're going to suspend her, and then Finn is like, nah, that didn't happen. And you'd like to believe that he just did that out of the kindness of his heart. But no. They have a conversation afterwards, and Finn, like, wants her to accept that she's gay and come to terms with that. And so he sets up, like, a Glee assignment with girl power.
I never understood the Glee assignments. We'll get into Will Schuster's teaching method.
But I'm sorry this story takes so long, but, like, I want the full context.
You have to understand the whole context to understand how terrible of a person.
And so Finn blackmails her. He's like, go along with this, or I'm going to go back into the principal's office and say that you punched me. And so she does. And he and Finn, like,
quick question. Do you think that she would still be in trouble if they had the full context of why she did it?
I think that the problem there is I don't know they'd be able to prove it.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I don't know, like, I don't think they'd be able to prove that Finn outed her in the hallway, mm-hmm. and thus gave her reason to punch him in the face.
That's fair.
So anyway, she goes, the Glee assignment is also horrendously offensive, because...
And Schuster just lets it happen.
Schuster just lets it happen.
Because he's fucking Will Schuster.
And the songs of the week are Perfect by Pink, sung by Blaine and Kurt. And okay.
Blaine too? I thought it was just Kurt.
It was both.
Oh.
And side note, I've never I lost a lot of respect for Rachel and Kurt during this week, because Kurt is gay and feels bullying because he's gay all the time. It's a big plot point for his character. And Rachel has gay fathers, and even though they never talk about it, I'm pretty sure she's felt that too. Even though they never
Blaine gets a pass because he just showed up at
he's like a transfer. He transferred just to date Kurt in season 3, so I give him a pass because he doesn't know anything that's happening.
He doesn't understand any of the context or any of this.
Right.
So he's just saying, all right. He's just following what Kurt's doing.
Yeah. So the fact that Rachel and Kurt, who had to have known what was happening and they don't say anything to Finn about it, is horrendous to me.
For all Blaine knows, Santana could have been out already because again, badly kept secret.
He doesn't know. Yeah. He doesn't know anything.
I mean, Kurt probably was like, oh yeah, Santana and Brittany are having sex all the time.
And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
He's out the entire... He never is not in the... He's never not out in the show. So anyway, so they sing Perfect by Pink, and that was okay.
Yeah. I don't like that song anyway. So.
Yeah, I don't really love it that much either. But then I'm the Only One by Melissa Etheridge already explained the context for that one.
Yikes.
Then they have a scene in the hallway where a guy tries to hit on Santana and does the whole spiel like, you just need a good guy to set you straight. And all the girls in Glee come to Santana's defense, and that alone would have been fine. But then they sing I Kissed a Girl by Katy Perry, which is more about, like, experimentation and drunkenly kissing other girls than it is about, being not straight. And then, in the grand finale of it all, Finn sings Girls Just Wanna Have Fun by Cyndi Lauper as a way of apology.
It's the most patronizing, insulting thing ever.
Yeah, and absolutely nobody tells Finn off about his behavior. Except Santana.
And she cries, and it's like, that's the most beautiful thing ever.
Yep,
like,
and then Santana accepts the apology. And so, yeah. Finn, I've already explained this, but I really mean it. Finn does terrible things all the time on the show.
He outed Santana, and eventually she had to come out to her grandmother, who disowned her.
Yep.
Because Finn decided to be an asshole.
And nobody ever says anything about it. But yeah, Santana, otherwise, we mentioned when we were talking about Sue Sylvester that a lot of characters are kind of assholes, but they're funny assholes, so we all love them for it.
Yeah.
That's Santana.
Yeah.
Like, she says really shitty things if you think about it, but she's hilarious in how she says it, so we all think it's funny.
Yeah. There's Sam, who shows up in season 2. He's from the South, but you wouldn't know it because he doesn't have an accent.
No, you wouldn't. And
he sings a country song like once.
Yeah, he sings Red Solo Cup.
He sings Red Solo Cup. That he does.
Yeah, and they were going to make him and Kurt be a thing before they got Darren Criss, and they're like, nope, we're doing the Blaine.
Were they actually going to do a thing?
Yeah, that was like the heavily rumored thing. And also, another like weird little theory thing they thought about is that on the Christmas album, there's like, in the show, there's a scene where Quinn and Sam sing a line together. And on the album, it's Kurt and Sam. And so, like, a lot of people are like, oh, this is when they recorded this before they were like, oh, Kurt's not going to date Sam.
Yeah.
But anyway, Sam is just like the coolest dude. Like, he's like the chill
cool.
dude.
He's chill.
Yeah.
He's poor.
He is poor. That was a plot point for a while.
In the Fleetwood Mac episode?
Yes! Rumors.
Yes.
Where they just sing out
That was
songs
one
off
of the
Rumors.
episodes that I had downloaded on iTunes. I think I still have it on iTunes, actually.
It was a good episode.
Because I love Fleetwood Mac.
Except for Rachel singing Go Your Own Way, like, at Finn. And I'm like, no! Because she was trying to get back together with Finn, and that song is not about that. It's about the literal opposite.
Also, again, he was with someone else.
He was also still with Quinn.
Why did Schuster never call anyone out on doing any of these things?
Should we talk about Schuster's teaching problems now?
Let's get into Blaine first, and then we'll hit
it.
Okay, so Blaine comes in season 2. So Kurt is sent to go spy on the all-guys school, Dalton Academy. They all wear uniforms.
The Warblers!
The Warblers!
I bought that album
I bought the Warblers album. I was obsessed with the Warblers.
The Warblers were the best.
Apparently, Team Star Kid, actually became friends with a bunch of the Warblers, and, they've done stuff together.
That's where I learned what acapella was through the Warblers.
Through the Warblers. Suck it, Pitch Perfect. Anyway.
I love Pitch Perfect. That's a whole other episode. We talk about Pitch Perfect.
Yeah. So, he goes, and he, this guy he sees on the stairs what does he say again? I used to watch their stuff all the time. It was like,
oh no, I forget
hey,
what
where
they say. He tries to ask him directions,
and then he's at the bottom of the staircase. Blaine is, and he's like, here, and then takes his
hand,
and
they run dramatically down a hallway hand in hand, and it's so
they're
adorable.
The cutest.
Yes, and so. Yeah, and then Kurt eventually, because his plot line for a lot of season 2 is that
Karofsky, this bully,
the school bully,
he's closeted, and
he's
he
closeted,
forcibly kisses him,
right?
And so he's being tormented by Karofsky,
and then he transfers to Dalton Academy, and then
Blaine has the voice of an angel because he's Darren Criss.
You're correct.
And eventually they fall
get together.
In love.
And and
it's beautiful.
And they spend most of the rest of the show together. I'm definitely going to ignore that weird breakup.
Yeah, that was so weird because it didn't make any sense because Blaine was obsessed with Kurt, not in a creepy way,
right?
In a love way.
Yeah, and then
and then all of a sudden he cheats on him, and it's why?
No,
there was no impetus for any of that.
Okay, Rachel cheating makes sense because of course
in the Whitney Houston episode, Kurt just is flirtily texting with another guy, and he freaks the fuck out and sings "It's Not Right, But It's Okay," and then suddenly Kurt goes off to New York and he's like, I'm gonna sleep with this guy with a lighthouse profile picture.
I hated Adam.
I'm like, what?
Kurt was won over by a dude who sang an acoustic cover of Baby Got Back. Anyway, back to Blaine.
So, the later seasons of Glee were so bad.
Yes, they were.
But, the Klain relationship, that defined a lot of the media that I chose to, take in afterwards. It made me, it didn't make me realize that I was bisexual, but I was like, it would be nice to have a relationship like that.
Yeah.
They're so nice, it must be so nice. They're so cozy all the time. I'm not a guy, but
yeah,
I just I flipped it, basically in my
Right. I have to say that from my perspective,
also because all of the straight couples on that show were disasters.
They were!
Disasters!
The gay couples on Glee were always the best friends.
Yeah,
couples.
they were the best, and they, like, have the most stability.
Yep.
And were, like, decent human beings to each other.
Yeah.
And, like, had actual love and, like, chemistry. And all the straight couples were just disasters.
Right. But anyway, Claim to Me.
Wait, do you remember, I don't know why this is coming to my head, when Sam and Mercedes were a thing for, like, 5 minutes?
Yes, I do! And then they come back to it at season 5.
So
when they're
weird.
both in New York, but whatever. I'm sure we'll talk about the later seasons.
I love pushing things back further.
Yeah, but Claim to Me.
That's how I got into fanfiction, also, was clan stuff.
Yeah. I'm
not a fetishist.
No.
I'm queer myself. It's not the same.
Yeah. I grew up in a conservative Christian household. And so, like, honestly, we never really talked about, like, homosexuality.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, I know that my parents don't think it's, like, acceptable, but we never, like, talked about it when I was younger. But I'd always heard about it, because, like, conservative Christian household, and I went to a Catholic school, so, like, the thought that's been brought up before. Mm-hmm. And to me, like, Klain was, like, I looked at that, and that was, like, my first, like, moment of being, like, what's the problem with gay people?
You didn't get that already from, like, Rachel and Santana?
Klain happened before I got into
fanfiction. Okay, got it.
Okay, so timeline, Klain happened late season 2, and
I remember?
And
original song was their first kiss. And then it got interrupted by Hell to the No, an original song by Mercedes.
Good times. And then I started reading fan fiction between seasons 2 and 3. Mm-hmm. But anyway, like, so Klain, and then when I watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer and saw Willow
Buffy
and Tara, that I like credit that is to have been like, I thought like, I don't really get I don't get
Tara McClane is my type.
She'd be mine, yeah.
Yeah.
Tara's great, but that's a different episode, isn't it? Because she's not on Glee.
No.
Too bad.
Is it too bad though? I mean, I guess she would have lived, but
damn it!
But
don't
she would have been ruined.
Don't remind me.
But she would have been ruined in this show.
She would, but don't remind me that she died.
Would you rather her have died horrifically or have been ruined on Glee? I guess died.
What kind of terrible decision is that? I guess I'll take dying.
Yeah. Okay, so Will Schuester. Alright, you have a lot of opinions, so I'll let you start.
I'm sorry that I have so many opinions.
No, I have a lot of opinions too. I want to hear your opinions.
Okay, so Will means well, I think.
He means well for a bit, and then it becomes all about himself.
That's true, yes. But for a while, he means well. But he's a bad teacher.
He's such a bad teacher.
So, and part of this is just the nature of the show, I think. But, like, they didn't want to have, like, the whole build-up to the first problem is competition prep. Mm-hmm. And so they didn't want every episode... As someone who was
in show choir, I always resented the fact that they would never prepare for, like, competition. I mean, I didn't compete, but, like, we would prepare for concerts and stuff, and I was like, if we spent all the time rehearsing for concert pieces, and, like, if we tried the shit that they do... where they do not even think about competition songs until they're at the competition.
Right.
We would be screwed.
Yeah, so, because from a entertainment television perspective, you don't want them to be doing the same songs over and over every week. What that meant is that they would never prepare their competition set lists until, like...
Or choreography, more importantly.
Or choreography. They wouldn't pick songs.
Harder.
Yeah. Until, like, the week before.
The week of?
Yeah. I like to headcanon there was 2 weeks, just so I can sort of almost believe they put something together.
I mean, like, Dalton Academy was, like, 2 hours away from Lima. Also, as an Ohioan, I have some problems with the geography
Everything is close enough to be dramatic.
Everything is wrong. Okay.
Seriously. But, so, instead, week to week, they would have, like, lessons and themes to do, like, random solo performances.
And then there would be a live band. always
You
playing
mean
their stuff.
the jazz band that knew every song in history immediately?
Yeah.
They're just like, boom.
Don't they have anything to do? What's the jazz band up to?
I don't know. What about Brad the pianist?
I like Brad. Brad's cool. I like it when they had him talk and he was always like,
I hate
these kids are always going, hit it, as if I know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, they don't even say what the song is. They're just like, hit it, and then they start.
They do always do that.
Weirdest fanfic explanation thing I've ever seen is they like a Doctor Who Glee crossover, and they explain.
I've seen a Doctor Who Glee crossover, but it was at Dalton Academy.
No, I saw one that was at McKinley, and the Doctor shows up at McKinley, and he learns that the reason that the kids are always pitch perfect and the band always knows everything is because they're aliens harvesting the musical energies.
That's amazing.
And so they make them perfect.
That's so great. Wait, which Doctor was it?
It was 10.
The one
10.
I read was 11, and there was like a Dalek that like invaded the school or something.
Yep.
I don't know.
Awesome. But anyway, Will Schuester he can't teach for shit.
No. And it was supposed to be funny at first because he was a bad Spanish teacher and that was the point. And then it was the same problem they had with Rachel, where she was supposed to be terrible at the beginning on purpose. Mm-hmm. And then it went from that to like, he's the best teacher anyone's ever had. And he won like Teacher of the Year, even though that same year he had to be taken out of his Spanish teaching position because he was so bad at it.
Yeah,
he transferred to the history department.
They had an entire episode where
Ricky
Santana
Martin had to come in,
Ricky Martin.
I love Ricky
where
Martin.
Santana takes
also
him
in
to
American
the
Crime
woodshed.
Story, the assassination of Gianni Versace.
Yeah. Santana takes Will Schuester to the fucking woodshed about the fact that he goes around teaching Spanish and like tries to act like he knows Hispanic culture despite being completely ignorant of Spanish.
The whitest man who
culture.
ever lived. Will Schuester.
I'm not shitting you when I say that like the climax of the episode is supposed to be Ricky Martin versus Will Schuester singing Hispanic songs, and Will Schuester sings Elvis. He sings a mariachi band version of A Little Less Conversation. I shit you not, folks.
How can you even think you're gonna compete with Ricky Martin? How can you do that? You can't.
Yeah, but anyway, Will Schuester, terrible teacher. They don't.
Oh my god!
They don't prep for competition.
His biggest abuse of power was the Rocky Horror Glee show.
Oh god! Let's talk about that now.
Everything about that episode is just disgusting.
So Will has this big crush on Emma, and for a lot of
guidance counselor Emma Pillsbury.
OCD. She has OCD. That was decently handled. Go them.
You did something right. Good job. You did it.
But so that entire relationship before they get together is horrible because it makes both of them look like horrible people.
Because again, I guess no straight person can have a relationship without cheating on.
Will is married for most of season 1, and the only
presumed pregnant wife
with his presumed pregnant wife.
His wife is pregnant. She's faking it.
She's faking it, but whatever. We're not talking about Terry.
No one cares about Terry.
And then Emma has 2 different boyfriends through this time period.
Ken Tanaka, remember Ken?
The football coach who hates singing and shit. And John Stamos, the dentist. And
John Stamos is cool.
Yeah, he was cool.
He's super nice. He supports Emma. He supports the Glee Club.
Yeah. Why did she have to break up with him for Will Schuester?
For Mr. Buttchin?
Buttchin, Will Schuester. But anyway... Coach. He learns that Emma's favorite musical is Rocky Horror.
I don't know. I don't think it was her favorite. I think, if I remember correctly, because I also had this one downloaded, she went to a screening of it with John Stamos and was talking about, like, oh my god, like, I wasn't worrying about people, throwing toasts and stuff and yelling at the screen, and it was great. It was like a breakthrough for her OCD. And he's like,
John
Stamos, I'll use this as an opportunity to get in her pants. Like, you asshole!
Yeah, so he has the Glee Club.
You take the thing that John Stamos is helping her deal with her mental illness, and he's like, I'll use that to sleep with her. And I'm like, ugh!
Yeah, so he has the Glee Club. Again, let's talk a group of high schoolers.
They're underage.
Doing Rocky Horror Picture Show. Doing the Rocky Horror Show.
Yes.
And if you think it's bad just now, just you wait.
Just you wait.
Because eventually, first of all, he cast John Stamos, the dentist, as Eddie.
Which I guess isn't
that bad.
A sexual character, but it's still weird to have
actually it is weird because Mercedes playing Dr. Frankenfurter. Like, in the show, Frankenfurter fucks Eddie. or had in the past.
Yeah, but at least it's not like
It doesn't
on
happen.
stage.
But just you wait!
It's just
Because
implication.
Eventually, Sam, who was cast as Rocky, gets uncomfortable with the idea of being Rocky.
Duh.
So, Will fucking Schuester puts himself as Rocky.
Keep in mind, Rachel is playing Janet.
Yep.
And Finn is playing, well, it doesn't matter with Brad.
He was
But
Brad,
also,
no one cares
again,
about
Mercedes is Frankenfurter.
Brad. Because none of the guys are comfortable playing Frankenfurter, so they have Mercedes do it.
Like, there's so many problems with this. Also, it goes back to one of my favorite episodes of the first season that was actually really funny. When Rachel falls in love with Will.
Oh my god, yeah, that was a great episode.
That episode is hilarious.
I love Endless Love is the best because
Yeah.
Rachel gets in, you can see in Rachel's eyes when she learns that she's like, oh my, I has a crush on Will, and then you can see in Will's eyes that he is afraid of he can see that Rachel has a crush on him and he's terrified.
Leah Michele is a great comedic actress,
She
but
is.
the problem with the way Rachel was written is she went from being funny to just being super annoying. That was one of the examples, because when she had episodes like that, she was fantastic and hilarious.
And she ends up like going to Will's house and
like
cleaning
in
his
Scream
house.
Queens, she's amazing because they get to use that manic comedy that she has to the show's advantage.
Yeah. But oh right, I think we're done with Rocky Horror, but I'm not done with Will Schuester.
We ain't done with you, Will.
So,
you're not off the.
He never prepares for competition. The real climax of this, the grandest peak, is they're going to national competition in New York City. I'm going to repeat that. They're going to nationals. First of all, they make the decision they're going to write their own songs because that worked for them in a previous episode in competition.
But they're writing the songs. They're literally figuring it out when they're at the hotel.
They go to a hotel in New York.
They do not prepare.
2 days.
They do not prepare the week before, 2 weeks before, the weekend they are at nationals.
They write the songs, the whole thing. They write it all out. And then, and this is just more of a frustration of writing than it is Will Schuester specifically, in this episode, Finn decides for the 37th time that he wants to get back together with Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
So, he tries to take her out on a date in New York, and she's like, nah, I'm good. I'd rather, you're kind of an asshole boyfriend, so I'm gonna, not. I'd like to focus on my future, and not you. And so, during the competition, because Finn and Rachel were always the leads, I don't know why, because Finn's not as good a singer.
Finn was not a good singer. Sorry, Corey Monteith. Corey Monteith tragically died, and it's very sad.
But I will gladly trash his character from now till forever.
But people after that were like, he's dead now, so you especially can't say anything mean about Finn. And I was like, why not? That character is the worst.
Will Schuester,
and he could not sing or dance.
Another problem of Will Schuster's character is he had a father. He came to see Finn like a son, so he always made Finn the lead singer of Glee. But he was never the best singer in Glee.
Before Blaine joined, Artie was the best singer in the Glee.
You had Artie, Puck was better, Sam was better.
Yeah.
And he's
I think Artie was the best male singer before Blaine.
Yeah, that's a fair argument.
But he never got to do anything because he was in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So Rachel and Finn have the romantic duet because of course they do. And then Finn just straight up kisses Rachel right there in the middle of the set after the song is over. Mm-hmm. And then afterwards they go down to 12. They don't make the top 10. They're done. And everyone blames Rachel. And I have a problem with that because
Finn was the one who kissed her.
Finn was the one who kissed her, first of all.
Even though she rejected him, which could, in a different context, if it wasn't confirmed later that she was into it, that could be considered sexual assault.
Yes. And either way, it was super unprofessional on stage and put Rachel in a position where she couldn't possibly have done anything about it. Mm-hmm. She just has to go with it. And second of all, it puts no blame on Will Schuester, because again, I always thought maybe...
He wasn't paying attention to any of them at all because he was following his Broadway dreams.
Right, great. Yeah. Also, maybe you didn't win nationals not because Finn decided to go off script and kiss Rachel right then and there. Maybe it's because you wrote your songs 2 days before competition.
Yeah. Okay, also, hashtag Jesse St. James deserved better. Because
It's okay, because he gets together with Rachel in the end.
I know, which he should have been, because Jesse St. James was amazing, and perfect for Rachel, because he was the male Rachel.
Yes!
Exactly! He was also hilarious with her. Like,
yes.
those two.
I agree.
I mean, they were in
Jesse
Spring
St.
Awakening
James.
together.
Right.
And, like, they had amazing chemistry. They were both hilarious, because they had, like, the same traits. One of my favorite things that Jesse St. James said was, I'm going to School of, University of California, Los Angeles. It's in Los Angeles.
It's in Los Angeles. Yes, I loved it. And anyway, where was I about to complain about? Oh, right. Will Schuester, his last great fault as a teacher, I think. I mean, besides ignoring the kids, but we've talked about that. We've already kind of hinted at it, but he really never stepped, like, because of the, like, social, like, the different, like, cliques that represent Glee Club throughout the show, and because drama, there's a lot of shitty behavior between members of the Glee Club in the Glee classroom.
Yeah.
And
all the time.
And Will Schuester basically never
he
tried
never
to stop
intervenes
it.
at any
He
point.
always just lets it happen. But anyway, what I was going to talk about is he plays favorites a lot.
All the
First
time.
of all, they don't audition for solos. You'd think that would be the logical way to go about that. Like, from a competition point.
You'd think.
But no,
No.
he just hands them out. And he always
Rachel
gives
and
Rachel and Finn are the leads, and they'll throw Mercedes the high note, the big belty high note at the end of the group song every time. And he would never deviate from that.
Never. Once.
He deviated once when Emma Pillsbury gave him shit for it, that he always did the same thing.
And then he went back to the same thing.
And then he went back to doing the same thing. And it's just like, yeah, Will was a terrible teacher.
Yeah. All right. Do we want to talk new class?
Let's see what I remember about the new class.
So I'm looking at a picture, a bunch of them. There's floppy hair guy. They do Grease. They do Grease.
Okay, I think this is the perfect time to actually mention Glee Project. Because half of them come from that. So, when Glee was at its
Even
apex,
though there was supposed to be one winner and, like, all of them got on the show.
Okay, so there was, in Glee's mighty apex of popularity, there was a reality show on Oxygen.
Remember Oxygen?
Remember Oxygen?
Remember?
That was, like, come and join Glee. The winner of the show gets to have a character on Glee. And yes, I did dream of auditioning for that. But anyway, I watched both seasons. I was trash for it.
Oh, me too.
Like, it was, like, so amazing. And I ended up, like, loving every single character about it.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up, like, at that time, there was always, like, this always ties back to fan fiction. At the time, there was, like, a handful of fan fiction where, like, the entire Glee Project cast is turned into, like, a rival Glee club. And I was like, yes, please.
Mm-hmm.
I want more of that. And the people who won the first year, there was supposed to be one winner, and then Ryan Murphy.
Winner, right?
No, first year there were 4. Because Ryan Murphy was like, I just like all of you guys, so I'm going to put all of you on
Well, it was
Glee.
mostly Damien McGinty, the Irish guy, who was there and then, like, disappeared forever.
Yeah, Damien McGinty played Rory.
He was great, though.
Yeah, he played Rory. He was the Irish guy. That was his character. He didn't really have any character development.
I liked him.
I wish he'd gotten to do more.
He had a good voice.
There was...
He was funny.
Yeah, Lindsay...
I don't know. It was weird because they never had them do acting auditions. So you never knew if they were going to be good actors.
Yeah, but you had Lindsay. I can't think of her last name right now.
She was in one of the rival Glee clubs.
Yeah, and she was like Rachel, but worse. Was her character
in real life too,
and in real life. I think in real life she was Rachel, but better.
Yeah.
But anyway, she got a couple episodes. You had the guy, I forget his name, but he played Joe Hart. He was this like hippie Christian dude.
Yeah.
He had dreadlocks.
Mm-hmm.
He was pretty. He never really did.
He was like
homophobic
okay. At the beginning for whatever reason. He was like, I've never met a gay person before.
But then, like an episode later, he's like, "Oh, I like gay people. It's fine."
Yeah, it was weird.
They never went anywhere with it. And then Alex Newell was the big. He didn't win that season.
But he became like one of the bigger characters.
Because Ryan Murphy loved it. On the Glee Project, he would like...
He did one song and drag once.
And then he kept doing it because Ryan Murphy went gaga for it.
Haha.
And so, in the show, he was Unique, who was transgender. I don't think they ever clarified, but I think he was trans. I don't think they ever made it a big enough plot point for me to know.
At least a drag queen.
At the very least, a drag queen. Maybe transgender. And so he was a big part of going forward. Mm. He got a lot of screen time. And then
Allie, the blonde one.
Allie she was a girl in a wheelchair, and she got a 1-episode cameo.
And then she got to be in the Deaf West Spring Awakening, so it all worked out for her.
Yeah, it did. And then season 2, you had the winner, Blake. I don't care what his name is, or do I care? His character, I think, is Blake, actually. And
I thought he was really cute at first. And he has total, like, early 2010s, like, swoopy Justin Bieber hair.
Yes, he does. And
Henleys. I think when I first, like, was like, was when they were doing Grease, and, like, they found him, like, another football player because they don't have any originality in finding dude characters on that show.
No, they don't.
No. And
they all come from the football team.
Yeah. And so he's wearing, like, the Danny Zuko outfit, and I was like, all right.
Yeah, he was great. And this leads to, I feel like, his character, his only real character trait they really develop is that he's dyslexic.
Oh, yeah.
But also, and this is the biggest problem with the new cast to me, is that he was kind of like new Finn. Mm-hmm. And that's
also same problems before with all of the straight people just cheat on each other at all times.
Yeah. Specifically, remember
Marley. She was also poor, and she had a lunch lady mom.
Yes, who was obese. And then that leads to Kitty Pryde, who is the new head cheerleader. She's the new Quinn. Mm-hmm. And she literally, like, manipulated Marley into having an eating disorder.
Which, again, never really has to, like, confront that.
And you know
She's like, I'm sorry, and Marley's like, it's okay.
Yeah, Marley.
Even though she ruined her mental health.
And you want to talk about horribly offensive moments in the show. So, like, the climax of that storyline was that during competition, like, at this point, Marley was so deep into it that during competition,
when they were performing Gangnam Style,
fucking
with Tina as the lead because Asian.
To be fair, I think she might have been the only person on that cast who could have done that language.
But I don't think she's Korean. I don't think she's Korean.
I don't know.
Glee Wiki, come to our rescue.
All I remember is that they had a plot line between Blake and...
Oh my god, when she, like... Oh, that was so weird.
I don't think Tina's Korean. Is her actress Korean?
Asian
actress
persuasion
is in here somewhere.
I loved it. I'm looking back at old goth pictures of Tina, and she's great.
But anyway, they're performing the number, and Marley passes out. And so they lose the competition because everyone stops what they're doing to, like, take care of her. And so afterwards, everybody, but most especially Tina, who is full-on bitch character at this point, blames Marley, the girl with the eating disorder, for screwing up the competition.
Oh, she's Korean.
Yeah.
Okay, I was wrong.
I don't think... yeah. But so that was like... If anyone gets blamed in that situation for having an eating disorder, it's the victim and not Kitty, who everybody knows is the one who led Marley down that path.
Bulimia.
Yeah. And then you got Jake, who is Puck's half brother, and guess what? He's the new he's the new Puck.
Yep.
And then I guess Unique was kind of like new Mercedes.
Yeah.
And new Kurt.
Yeah. And then some of them were, like, juniors out of nowhere, so, like, Artie stayed and, like, had a relationship with Kitty. And then the one that blew my mind was Blaine was a junior in the year that Kurt was a senior, and I was like, hold on a second.
That doesn't fit at all!
Number one, Darren Criss is much older than Chris Colfer in real life, and looks older, too.
Yeah.
He had an air of authority around him.
But really, they just wanted to keep Blaine at McKinley.
Which I get. but it didn't make any sense. And then also, I was so sad about the fact that they wouldn't be able to go to New York together. I was, like, distraught about it.
Which then...
No, I stayed home from school the next day after I found out, because I was so sad. I was like, Mom, I'm sick. But really,
I'm just heartbroken.
But I was heartbroken in dealing with it.
Yeah, so the character development for this new crew is just horrendous because they don't really get any. And if they do, they're just playing...
It's the same thing where Marley's basically Rachel, except she doesn't want to be on Broadway. She wants to be on the radio.
And she's not a bitchy character at all.
No, she's very nice.
She's like the sweetest character on the show.
She's like the only genuinely nice person on the show.
Yeah. And then...
Fittingly played by Melissa Benoist.
Yes, who now plays my favorite no, it's not true because Grant Gustin's Flash. My second favorite superhero on television, Supergirl.
Hey, did you say Grant Gustin?
Grant Gustin!
Grant Gustin? You mean Sebastian from Glee?
The villain. Okay, yeah, so after Blaine leaves Dalton, they decide that Dalton is no longer going to be like the cool Glee club over there that they just compete with. No, we need the Warblers to be villains.
Which doesn't make any sense, because the Warblers were all super cool and, like, best friends and, like, super supportive of everyone.
Yeah.
And then suddenly Sebastian, evil gay Grant Gustin.
Who
wants to get with Blaine, is, like,
and openly makes moves on him.
Yeah, when Kurt is there.
Yeah, and Kurt's sitting right there.
And he like makes them all villains, and eventually, no, they get worse in another season because another evil guy takes over for Sebastian Hunter, right? And then in like a Michael Jackson episode, they like face off.
That's still Grant Gustin, but he like throws a slushie with rock salt in it at Blaine and literally like takes his eye out.
That was an excuse to have Darren Criss be off the show for a while so he could be in How to Succeed in Business.
And now I bet you're wondering, dear listeners, what sort of consequences came to Sebastian for literally trying to injure somebody?
None. He destroyed Darren Criss's eyes and felt no repercussions. You know why? Because Santana got the evidence after a really cool... That was a really cool
No, it was
song.
great when they sang Smooth Criminal and they had
like cellos,
and the cello
and
guys.
it's Santana and Grant Gustin.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And they sound amazing. But she gets the evidence, and then the end she like... Why did she throw it away?
I don't remember.
So they can be friends?
Or something like
because
that.
Because Blaine doesn't like want to hurt the school that he went to. I mean, that makes sense.
I think so. I think that's what happened.
That makes sense. But... Yeah.
Yeah, so that happened.
And they all dance together at the end to Black or White,
yeah,
is it?
To Black or White.
Black or White. They're like, I'm glad they were not getting in trouble for, like, brutally injuring someone who used to go here. Let's be friends. Like, why?
Yeah, no. So, season 4, right?
Right.
When they're not half-assed.
My memory of the seasons goes immediately downhill from here.
You're same, but I do have some memories
1, 2,
of
and
what
3. I'm an expert
here.
on 1, 2, and 3.
Yep.
For 1, 2, and 3, when the Glee station on iTunes would come on, I could literally, if a song came on, I could name what it was, what episode it was in.
I could probably do that too if I tried. But season 4, when they weren't half-assedly mishandling the high school, the people still in high school, they decided that they were going to do the other half of the season in New York with Rachel and Kurt.
Remember when Sarah Jessica Parker was on there for a hot minute?
Yeah. I forget who was Rachel's bitchy dance teacher.
That was Kate Hudson.
Kate Hudson, where she also fucks a student.
Yeah.
To get
but
at
it's
Rachel.
A college student, so
it's better. But she
because
also doesn't.
He was a male prostitute. Remember?
Yes, and okay, so at some point Santana shows up too.
Oh my god.
And then she's like, "Hey Rachel, your boyfriend's sketchy." And then Rachel's like, "No, he isn't." And then she's like, "I have proof that he's a fucking male prostitute."
Every time I remember a plot point on the show, I'm like, "Oh my god, that happened."
Yep.
Oh my god, and like, what was it? She would, like, the dance teacher would say these horrible things, like, like, if you don't have body dysmorphia by the time you get out of here, I'm doing something wrong. Like, that's...
Yeah, no.
That's terrible.
She played it off like she's just, like, being harsh for the sake of betterment of, like, to, like, allow, like, improve their ability to handle that in the future.
Though I will say that whenever she would yell at Rachel, she was always completely justified in doing so. Because Rachel shouldn't have been in that school anyway. Because she failed the audition, and then she, like, stalked Whoopi Goldberg to, like, audition again.
I mean, I'm also happy to complain about the fact that, okay, so for the purpose of jokes, sometimes they'll make Rachel seem a lot dumber than she should be, considering her character is supposed to be I Love Broadway.
Yeah.
Like, when they go to New York in season 2 for Nationals, she makes a joke about buying Cats tickets. Mm-hmm. And Quinn, of all people, has to be the one to be like, you know, Cats has been off Broadway for like a decade, right? Yeah. And I'm just like,
you should know.
It's not funny because Rachel would be smart enough to know that.
Yeah.
And then in season 3, Rachel and Kurt want to go to like this super prestigious art school in New York. In
NIADA. New York Academy of the Dramatic Arts.
First of all, it's presented that Rachel had no idea that Juilliard doesn't have a musical theater program. I have a hard time believing she didn't come to that conclusion until right before then. Mm-hmm. Considering how much she talks about, I'm going to go at Broadway, I feel like she would have done more research
about that.
Or like
NYU is an option.
Or, okay, the real problem is they only apply to INYADA, a school that takes like 25 kids a year.
Or you're from Ohio, go to CCM. It's like one of the best theater schools in the country, and it's in Cincinnati.
Nope. Only INYADA.
Only New York.
Only New York. Only INYADA. Don't apply anywhere else. And that was super frustrating. Side note, it was also super frustrating because at the same time, Finn was trying to get a football scholarship, and that's kind of hilarious.
To Ohio State.
And he obviously doesn't make it because also another thing Finn isn't good at, playing football.
Yeah, the football team is actually terrible. That's why it's such a big deal when Kurt joins the team, because he's actually good at being a kicker.
Yeah, and
he's the only good player on the team.
Yeah, and then Finn like has a breakdown that he can't get into Ohio State. Like they play it off like he can't get into Ohio State football, so he's never going to be playing college football. You can't get into the greatest.
Sorry, we're Ohio State students, so we're very biased. But you can't get into the best college football program in the country. And
I mean, even objectively, Ohio State is one of the top football programs in the entire nation.
You don't get into like
the
one of the
best
top ones,
of the best
so
are the ones that get into Ohio State football. There were tons of local schools that he could have tried to play football.
Oh, absolutely.
But nope, he didn't get into Ohio State, so he's never playing football again.
All of these people put their eggs in one basket, and then they got upset when it didn't work out. Like, dude,
it's like, why?
No, don't.
Stop!
The Common App allows you to apply for several schools at once.
Dude, Common App was the best thing I've ever discovered existed.
Shout out to the Common App.
Common App, you're the best. Anyway, I think I don't want to talk about season 4 anymore. Season 5 was a train wreck of epic proportions. I'm not even gonna. I think that Corey Monteith died in between seasons 4 and 5, and I think that derailed a lot of what Ryan Murphy wanted to do.
What do you think he wanted to do? Because
I just
taking over for
at
Will,
the time,
probably.
Finn was taking over as Glee Club director,
which made a lot of sense actually.
Yeah,
because he was actually pretty good. He was a better teacher than Will, though that's a low bar.
Yes, he was.
But
except for picking Gangnam Style, he was
true.
A good teacher.
But he really understood the kids and what they were going through. And when there was a conflict in his class, like when Floppy Hair McGee and young Puck were fighting over Marley, he was like, "Hey, stop it! You're being assholes.
How about you stop?" No, and I think I could have come around.
And I was like, "Thank you."
I think I really could have come around on Finn's character if that was allowed to play out to its full extent.
Because he was
becoming better.
Because he was an asshole in high school and he learned from it. And so he was teaching the kids and actually controlling their behavior on Will, who just didn't care and was in it so he could sleep with Emma.
Yes, so Finn, Corey Monteith dies, and so they have to write Finn out of the show. And even if it explains why the rest of the season is shit, I don't think it doesn't excuse it, and just stuff stopped making sense in any way. Like, there was a weird puppet episode.
Oh my god, and they
The puppets.
Do you remember when they do What Does the Fox Say? And it's supposed to be, like, inspiring.
And it's what
like,
does the
no.
fox say?
It's a Norwegian nonsense comedy song.
Yeah, I love it, but, like, it is what
It'd be like if they did Massachusetts out of nowhere.
Yeah, there was an episode where...
It doesn't make any sense.
There's an episode where they want to do blurred lines, and Will is in their defense of that, twerking and on stage and doing blurred lines.
Like, Sue Sylvester is in the right in this episode, and she's like, you know that song's about date rape, right?
Yeah, also, Will Schuester performs blurred lines with the group, and
he crosses so many weird lines with them.
I think the earliest is when they do Britney Spears, and he sings Toxic with them on stage.
Oh my god, he does do that, doesn't he?
Yeah. They call it the Britney Spears sex riot.
I did go to Britney Spears sex riot. That was funny.
Yeah, that was amazing.
That was actually...
It was really just kid.
That was ridiculous funny.
Yeah, that was amazing. It was really more like one kid, and then everyone went along with it.
Do you remember Brett?
Brett. Brett.
You smell homeless, Brett.
Yes, homeless Brett.
Homeless.
Yes!
I love Brett.
The kid who smelled homeless.
He's just like a side character who would show up every now and again, but he was so funny.
And then there was the religion episode where Finn prays to grilled cheeses.
That was funny. No, but Brett would just show up every now and again. The first time he was like in a class with Kurt, and I forget what was happening, but he says something to Kurt, and Kurt turns around and goes, "You smell homeless, Brett." Homeless.
Yes, it's a great episode. But
he like runs for student council president at one time, doesn't he?
Yeah. Brittany and Blaine run for student president.
Was it not Artie?
No, Artie graduated by that point. Like, that was like season 4 was when Britt and Blaine did it.
Right.
But yeah, season 5 was a wreck, and then halfway through the season they just decided we're done with the high school kids. Who cares? We're only going to do New York. We put all the characters that we like in New York City.
They realized no one cared about the younger characters.
And honestly, I kind of wish they dropped the New York thing.
Yeah, because that was boring. You only cared about the characters because they were in a Glee club, and you're like, wow, I wonder what they're going to perform this week.
Yeah.
And then they would just do songs out of nowhere now because they didn't have, like, a platform to do it. And also, they formed a band with Adam Lambert. And it was
Demi Lovato.
It was like Demi Lovato and Adam Lambert, Rachel, Kurt, and also Santana.
Yeah.
All on vocals in the band. No instrumentalists.
I would like to throw out right now.
Learn an instrument.
Just a little side note. Glee and how they handle guest stars is kind of funny.
Sorry we're ranting the whole time. Should I call this episode Glee or Ranting About Glee?
Honestly, Ranting About Glee might be the better name for this episode.
Okay.
Me ranting about Glee.
Yeah.
But, like, the way they handle guest stars on Glee is hilarious because, like, they'll make references to real-world people, and then those real-world people will be on the show.
Yeah.
But as a different person. Like, Wicked is a thing in Glee. In the Glee
Tina
world,
Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth
are both characters on the show. And I just wonder, like, does Rachel recognize that her mom looks exactly like Idina Menzel? Is she aware of this?
Yeah. Our ranting right now is the exact reason why I made this podcast and why it's called Get Off the Stage. Because if I was just talking about this to anyone else, they'd be like, I don't care.
And no, now we are 90 minutes deep into Glee talking.
We're still in deep. We're not leaving.
We're not even close.
We're not even done yet. Hold your horses.
Yeah, and there's like Adam Lambert comes on as a guy called Starchild,
and then he disappears.
He was honestly one of the better parts of season 5.
Well, Adam Lambert has like a legitimately great voice.
Yeah, he was a fun character. And
the Broadway stuff was getting exhausting, so having, like, other music was really nice. But again,
he sang, I believe, in a thing called Love by the Darkness.
Yeah.
I love that song.
Yeah, and he had, like, but as a musician and a fan of, like, music and rock music, the fact that they had a vocal person band, I'm like, guys, if you're gonna have a band, you have to learn some instruments.
I believe they called it Pamela Lansbury.
Yeah. You can't all be on vocals.
Yeah, okay.
It's like if you formed a football team and had everyone be the quarterback. That's not how it works.
It's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
Also, ranty rant time.
As if this whole thing hasn't been a rant.
But let's talk about Demi Lovato, a.k.a. Danny. So, context. I'm a big Demi Lovato fan.
Oh, she has a great voice. I wasn't a huge fan of hers, and then suddenly I saw her live because she was performing around like the All-Star game.
I saw
in
her.
Cincinnati.
I saw her live my freshman year.
And I was like, oh my god, she has a ridiculous voice.
I saw her live my freshman year of college, but not important to where we're going here. So, if you'd asked me in a middle school, what was my favorite Disney Channel musical, I wouldn't tell you High School Musical. I would tell you Camp Rock. I still hold this opinion.
It's the first movie I ever watched and thought and realized, hey, movies can be bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I unironically love Camp Rock 1. Camp Rock 2 is terrible, and I will rant about that anyway.
Well, that's your opinion.
But I unironically
We should get Elizabeth in here to give us a roommate disagreement talk. We're not roommates, but she's an RA, and she has to deal with a lot of fighting roommates on her floor.
So, anyway, Demi Lovato, big fan of hers, loved her in Camp Rock, loved her on Sunny with a Chance. And she's cast in Glee, and oh boy, did I freak the fuck out about that. I was like, oh my god, this is the best day ever. And so her role on the show is that at this point in time, Santana's broken up with Brittany. Sad. And so
sad.
Danny comes in, and she's like the cool New York starving artist that Santana hooks up with. And the first episode is great because her and Santana have this, they do it during the Beatles episodes, and so her and Santana sing a really cute duet of Here Comes the Sun. Worth checking that out. Mm-hmm. And she has no more character development the entire season. She's just there as Santana's girlfriend. She doesn't have she has like a couple of lines. She has no storylines, and she has no more solos. After she sings Here Comes the Sun, the only other song where you can hear her sing is she has the high, like when they do Roar by Katy Perry. She has like right at the end of the bridge, she has the really high belt, I've got the eye of the tiger part. Mm-hmm. Other than that, nope. No more use of Demi Lovato. And I'm just...
What a waste of Demi Lovato.
I know! And I have not gotten over that. Is that they wasted my favorite possible guest character.
Yeah. So, do we want to get into their feelings, or at least early on feelings about bisexuality on the show?
We haven't finished seasons 5 and 6.
We'll get there. We'll get there eventually. Like most things on this episode, we'll get there.
I want to quick finish season 5 because that also was frustrating.
The problem is I didn't really watch 5 or 6.
Okay, so I watched 5, so I'm ready. So
I'll give you my opinions on what you tell me.
Okay, so season 5, a big storyline, especially after they get rid of the high school kids, is that Rachel has gotten the lead role in the Broadway revival of Funny Girl.
Her first ever audition, and she gets it, the lead.
Right.
I forgot. And then she goes from that to immediately getting her own TV show.
Oh no,
amazing.
I need to fill in the blanks there because there's a lot to be mad about before we get to that point. Yeah. So she's just doing the thing, being on Broadway, and then out of nowhere, Santana's like, "Man, I'm not getting any acting jobs. At best, she gets a commercial about yeast infection, which is honestly...
Oh, that was really funny, yeah.
Yeah, the yeastistat. I like yeast in my bread, but not in my muffin.
Yeah, that was really funny.
I died laughing.
She's really funny.
Yeah, so Santana's...
And then she got paid in yeastistat.
Yeah, she got paid in yeastistat. So Santana decides she's going to be on Broadway, too. Specifically... She auditions for the role of understudy of the lead character in Funny Girl.
She doesn't have the voice for it.
No, she doesn't, but, she's going to get it anyway.
She did?
She gets the understudy role, yes.
Mm.
And so there's this huge conflict between Santana and Rachel for the rest of the season because Rachel's like, you're trying to steal my dream role from me. And Santana's like, whatevs. But eventually, it all eventually goes away, and Rachel becomes the lead. She keeps the role, and she has opening night, and that's very sweet, and everyone loves her as, I don't know, funny girl.
Fanny Bryce.
Everyone loves her as Fanny Bryce. And then she gets bored of Broadway. She gets bored of doing the same show night in and night out.
Even though that was literally her dream forever.
Yeah. And so she decides that she wants, and then like she gets like an interest from Hollywood for reasons. And so she like secretly, without telling the people running Funny Girl at all that she's doing this, she like runs off to Hollywood and like gets a sitcom about her experiences in high school. And that's how season 5 ends, with her quitting Broadway, her lifelong dream to go do a sitcom. That by the start of season 6 is a hilarious failure and she has to move back to Lima.
Ha. Suck it.
Yeah, seriously. So, season 6, I watched it. Claire didn't, so I'll try to be brief.
Sorry, at that point, I was like, I can't handle it anymore. Because once she got on Broadway on her first audition, I was like, okay, all right, bye. No more.
I basically didn't watch season 5 at all, and then I've seen bits. I caught back up later, but season 6, I was like, well, this is the final season. There's only 13 episodes. I'll finish it.
Mm-hmm. Wait, does Blaine move to New York after that, and then also get into Niata? Is that what happens?
I don't remember, but I think he tries. But anyway, season 6. Rachel has to move back to Lima because her TV show is a colossal failure. It's like the worst rated TV show in history, which is kind of hilarious. So she moves back to Lima, and Kurt, I don't remember exactly why he also has to leave New York, but her and Kurt decide to take over the Glee Club.
Is it something with his dad? Is his dad sick or something?
Maybe. I also know that at this time, him and Blaine were broken up.
Oh, yeah. So weird.
And so they move back to Lima to run New Directions. So, just pointing out right now, their group is called New Directions. If you say that fast enough, it will sound like
purpose.
Nude
because it was a dark
Erections.
Because it was a dark comedy at first, and Will Schuester gets the idea, and he wakes up in bed. He's like, New Directions!
Anyway, sorry. I decided to go back on that. Anyway, so they have the same problem that they always have, is that apparently nobody in this fucking school wants to be in Glee Club.
For no reason.
For no real reason. They just don't want to do it. And so they get a brand new cast of characters. The only characters from...
Third-year students are needed to work somewhere, fairly outside New York. Why? And after breaking up with Blaine, he did not date for a while. But he finally decided to do some speed dating, where he met a man called Rich, who strongly believes Kurt is not over Blaine. True. Blah, 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 just remove them together.
Anyway, so...
What? So he's sad about...
He's sad about Blaine, I guess.
I don't know why, because they'd never had any reason to have any problems.
No, they contrived reasons.
Contrived reasons.
So, Rachel goes back
because drama's interesting, I guess.
Rachel and Kurt go back to run the Glee Club, and they have the same problems as always. And so, remember that second generation that you only kind of liked at best? Well, they're all gone, except for Kitty. Kitty Pryde's still there.
Why?
Because, I don't know. So, and then they have a bunch of new characters. They have... I might need you to help give me the list.
Alright, here we go.
Because, like, season 6 or...
New Directions.
Yeah, that'll work.
No.
Just...
Members... Okay.
That'll work. Yeah, I think that's all of them.
Who's this 30-year-old?
Anyway, okay, wait, there's one more. There should be.
The Warblers? Okay,
I'll explain what happened here. So, some fun and fancy things. So, there's Jane Hayward. She's a girl. And first she tried out for the Warblers, and they were like, you're really talented, but we're an all-boys school, so no.
Wait, she tried out for the... She tried. Wait, did she apply to Dalton or?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, well, obviously she wasn't gonna.
Right, but like she sings "Tightrope" by Jeanette Monáe.
I love Janelle Monáe.
Janelle Monáe with the Warblers, and it's really awesome. And they're like, "You're really awesome," but no. So she comes to McKinley and joins the Glee Club. Then you have Mason and Madison, who they're cheerleaders. They're twins.
That's cute.
And they make a bunch of incest jokes about them.
Oh.
Like, everyone thinks they are incestual. They're not, but everyone thinks.
Are they, like, main characters in 6?
They're kind of side characters relative to everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if you can't see it, but Madison McCarthy, she plays Zoe in Dear Evan Hansen.
Oh.
Then you got Spencer Porter. He's the too cool for this football player, but now
He looks 40.
But now he's also gay. We're adding layers. What? Then you got Alistair, the hippie-looking motherfucker.
He looks 30.
Yeah, he exists solely because Spencer has a crush on him. That's his role.
Hold on, I gotta take another look to see his wrinkles. Let's see. Oh my god. Super gay warbler? What? Is there good? GIF.
Anyway.
Another GIF.
Another
GIF.
They got,
Oh, are they together? That's cute.
Yeah, they do.
That's cute.
They got Roderick, who's this, like, kind of tubby nerd guy who's, like, super shy and introverted.
Okay, I'm kind of into it.
And then he comes into his own through the Glee Club. It's actually, like, the best, most original character arc in the entire season 6.
These guys look fun.
Yeah, they're okay, but I'll explain the problem with them in a second.
Wait, I'm sorry, who were you talking about?
Roderick. Anyway. Myron, he's, like, 9, but he wants to be in the New Directions, and they just kind of allow that. Because they need numbers. In case you're keeping count, they only got like 8 members now. But don't.
Wait, was Kitty held back, or was she just younger?
She was never held back. She was just younger. But don't worry, because Dalton Academy burns down.
What?
so the Warblers.
Oh my god!
They all come to McKinley to join the New Directions.
Oh my god! Oh yeah! In the wake of Dalton being burned down, the Warblers are officially disbanded, and its members were absorbed to the McKinley High School New Directions to form a show choir supergroup. Oh my god!
Yeah!
Oh my god!
So, also, that leads to them, like, having these, like, cool New Directions uniforms.
Hold on a second, let me do some math here.
But so, if you think those characters sound pretty decent and cool, and like, man, it would have been nice to have a season learning about them, well, I'm sorry, that's not what happened. Because despite introducing all these new characters, the show spends 90% of the time focusing on the same old characters and their drama. Quite specifically, Santana and Brittany getting married, Kurt and Blaine getting back together. Weird thing, early season 6, Blaine gets together with Karofsky for a couple of episodes.
What?
Yeah, no.
Karofsky, the same person who sexually assaulted his previous boyfriend?
Yep, that Karofsky!
Oh my god.
And then...
This show is
Rachel,
such a mess.
And then Rachel, after flunking out of Vinyata because she didn't care enough about school. She didn't come to play school. She came to play Broadway.
And then she got bored.
And then she got bored. But now she's like, what if I go back to Vinyata?
Mm-hmm.
While she's running the Glee Club, because apparently nobody can actually care enough about this Glee Club to be committed to it.
No. The only one who did died.
Yeah. I forgot, Blaine came back to run the Warblers. Reasons. Until it burned down. And then
it burned down!
And then Sam came back.
That's the most soap opera shit I've ever heard.
And then Sam...
Hey guys, we were gonna be around, but the school burned down, so we're here now. What's up? What's up, guys?
Yeah. And then Sam became the assistant football coach. And anyway, Rachel hooks up with Sam for a few episodes.
I'm sorry, Dalton is a very big school. It looks like there's a lot of stone and masonry going into it. It looks like a fucking castle.
Right.
So, how does a school that big
Burn down?
stone?
That's a good question.
Possibly a boarding school. How does it burn down?
That's a good question. I'm not going to answer you because I don't have one, but it's a good question. Oh, right.
If any school would burn down, McKinley would definitely burn down.
Let's see, Rachel and Sam, they get together. For
that makes sense.
No, it's whatever.
I feel like it makes more sense.
Oh, right.
They kind of teased it in like season 2 or whatever.
A little bit. They teased it. Oh, right. Coach Beast. Let's talk. I want to talk about this now because it angers me because it's a good storyline they wasted on a character that it betrays their character development. But anyway,
because it was supposed to be like Beast was a really masculine woman, but she wanted to feel feminine, but she wasn't feminine.
That was her early character arc. She was after Ken Tanaka, who barely gives a shit about football. He got fired, and so they hire Coach Shannon Beast, and
she's really cool. She's really nice.
She's really nice. She's an amazing coach.
One of the only decent things Will Schuester does is make friends with her.
Yeah, but her thing is she's incredibly masculine, and that's always been a problem.
She's always been really insecure about it. She never thought she'd be able to find a boyfriend.
And that's all of her character arcs up to that point are kind of about that, like learning to like accept her femininity. I can't say the word. Femininity. And like learning to love herself and all that, and that was awesome. But season 6, Ryan Murphy.
Well, it was like proof that no matter how seemingly masculine you are, like you can love yourself and like find things about yourself that you can be proud of.
Right.
And you don't have to be traditionally feminine to be like a woman.
Right. And then Ryan Murphy in season 6, I think he just wanted to do a character about someone who's transgender and transitions. And so they picked Coach Beast to do that.
That's a total betrayal of everything Beast
yes,
stood for.
And I will say it's well done. And if it wasn't Beast,
it
I would probably have looked at that and been like, that was a great storyline, good job, Glee. But it's a betrayal of Beast's character, and so I've always hated what they did with that. But yeah, anyway, it's about Beast transitioning to being a man. I think I covered the major plot points for season 6 that weren't related to the new kids. But anyway, there's 13 episodes. They win nationals. And then the show the show 2-part finale is really interesting. It goes from the beginning. It's called 2009, where they go back to the first episode, revisit the pilot, but they revisit the pilot from the perspectives of the original 6 Glee members minus Finn. And
because it was focused on Will.
Right. Right. So they go back and redo the episode, and they see the character, what led them to Glee at that time. What were they like before they went to Glee? It was really cool. And then the series finale is the most wish fulfillment bullshit, but in a fun way ever. So basically, everybody gets any dream they ever wanted. Rachel goes back to Broadway and becomes a big star. She gets together with Jesse St. James, who also becomes a big star. Which makes perfect sense
because they were perfect for each other.
Right. Mercedes becomes a big pop star. Artie becomes a big movie maker. I forget if they really talk about anyone else, but Kurt and Blaine. I think Kurt becomes a fashion designer, I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, let's take a look-see.
And then about the Glee Club. Okay, so a running theme of the Glee Club is that no one likes them, and they never have any money, and they have to win or they keep getting cut. And eventually, at the end of the season, it's basically they're secure. They work in Kurt and Blaine work in elementary school, but what they do is that McKinley High School becomes a performing arts school. Mm-hmm. And it's fully funded by the arts. They end up having now 4 different Glee clubs in the school to accommodate everyone who now suddenly wants to be in Glee Club. And Sam takes over the program. Will Schuester becomes the principal.
They make it an art school?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
Because no one in Lima was into arts, so they would have no one to go to that school.
Yeah, but now it's a performing arts school.
Well, I guess since Dalton burned down.
And then, honestly, I
love that picture. So sassy.
Glee ruined I Lived for me by One Republic because they made that the very last song they ever performed. And literally they brought back everyone except Melissa Benoist and one other person that I can't think of right now. But they brought back every single person who had ever been on the show, had ever performed on the show, as like, and had them sing one final time. It's when I lived in One Republic, and now it's like forever burned in my brain. Like, that's what it makes me think of. But yeah.
Also, I hate Don't Stop Believin' now, because they figured out, since that was their breakout song, that maybe we should sing the song like all the time and like re-release it to like make more money off
They
of
do.
it.
They have.
So they do it like once every season at like a really dramatic moment. It's like, this could be the end of New Directions, and then they sing it again, and then of course it's not the end, and they're like, we're graduating, and then they sing it again, and it's like, ah.
Yeah, they do that. And so season 6, I think it had a lot of potential. I like it more than most people do, but the new characters get practically no development at all. The old characters, I don't care a whole lot about a lot of their development.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of like, I wish it had a different send-off. But yeah, that's Glee Season 6 in a nutshell. So what are we going to... We brought up a lot of different topics. And
all right, let's start with what I started with earlier. So, it wasn't there in the later seasons, and also not an American Horror Story, but Ryan Murphy in like seasons 1 and 2 seems to have some problems with bisexuality.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not a thing.
No, there's actually a problem in season 5 too, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've talked way too much in the past like half hour.
So season 2, I remember the episode Blame It on the Alcohol, and when drunk during a game of Spin the Bottle, Blaine and Rachel kiss, and they seem kind of into it. And so Rachel kind of like gets a crush on him and like asks him out and stuff. And Blaine is not with Kurt yet.
Mm-hmm, no.
So Kurt's all jealous. I don't know if this is because he's jealous or because he's actually biphobic. But Kurt's like, well, you know, there's no such thing as bisexual. It's just for gay people who are afraid of being gay or whatever. And, you know, Blaine obviously gets offended and is like, I would say bye, but I wouldn't want to offend you, when he leaves. I was like, damn, all right, go off. And then later on, they kiss sober, and he's like, nope, I'm gay. Which I guess is fine, but, like, it's still... The problem with that is that it never affirms if bisexuality is real, which obviously it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then also... What's the other... Brittany is pretty fine. She's, you know...
Well, she's openly bi. Like, after she breaks up with Santana in season 4, she gets together with Sam.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with the later seasons is they, like, remember what happened with Kurt? They, like, redo it again with Santana.
Yeah.
Where, like, in season 5, Santana's mad that Brittany got together with Sam. And she, like, makes these, like, biphobic remarks to Demi Lovato, if you remember. Mm-hmm. And, like, Demi Lovato then affirms her in those comments.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, makes remarks about, like, getting with a real lesbian. And it was bad.
Yeah. But also Quinn is bi, and, like, no one ever, you know, it's fine. Like, she sleeps with Santana once.
Yeah.
She's into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then she gets together with Puck in the end, but...
Oh, yikes. So, another thing... As Ohioans, I feel like we are very well versed on the subject of Ohioan geography.
We really need to talk about this.
So, I have many a problem. Mm-hmm. Like, even when I was really into the show and was, like, super into it, I knew that there were some, like, geographical inaccuracies that drove me nuts. Mm-hmm. Okay, so number 1, it, like, never snows.
Nope.
On the show.
No, it doesn't.
I remember
they barely ever wear winter clothes.
Even in cold months, they're wearing, like, California wear, and I'm like, okay. Alright, Glee.
Yeah.
And so, it takes place in Lima, Ohio. And Dalton Academy, may it rest in peace. May it rest in peace. Is in Westerville, Ohio. So, and they never make it clear whether it is a boarding school or a school that Kurt commutes to. And apparently Blaine also lives in Lima, as I guess a bunch of all of the Warblers do, since they transfer to McKinley.
Sebastian, he like interacts with Blaine and Kurt like at the Lima Beam.
Yeah, so...
all the time.
So, right now I have pulled up Google Maps. A map from Westerville to Lima. The fastest commute takes 1 hour and 32 minutes.
Honestly, that's a lot better than I thought it would be.
Yeah. Though, via Watkins Road, US 33 West and Ohio 117 West, it could take up to 1 hour and 46 minutes, since it is, 90 miles away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look up, because they always said
Because Westerville is right next to Columbus.
They always also talked about how, we didn't mention it, because in competition, Glee seems to always, the New Directions always seem to go up against Vocal Adrenaline. And they're like a school that gives a shit about the arts and has all the money and way more people. And they always talk about how Vocal Adrenaline School is in Akron.
Here we go. Akron, Ohio. 2.5 hours!
Yeah,
or 3 hours.
That's most problematic in that...
It's 175 miles away.
That's most problematic in that...
Close, shorter 150.
In season 1, when Vocal Adrenaline star Jesse St. James starts dating Rachel, he transfers to McKinley.
Yeah. Lima is, on the westmost area. Kind of by Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
But Akron is northeast. So you see the problem here.
Yep.
Yeah.
The geography was always sketchy.
Okay, now, another thing that drove me nuts. There was this episode where for Senior Skip Day, they go to Six Flags.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why would you go to Six Flags when Ohio is known for, being the roller coaster capital? We have Kings Island. We have Cedar Point. Why on God's name? Okay, let's see. Lima, Ohio. Let's find the nearest Six Flags. Let's see. Six Flags,
Ohio.
Near me.
There's one 5 miles away.
No, that's a stadium.
Sorry, that's from us, isn't it?
Six Flags. Is that Maryland? There's no way Maryland.
Well, no, there's one in Bexley.
There's one.
That's where they would go, I think.
There's no. Is there a Six Flags in Bexley?
Oh, it's a Six Flags Stadium. Okay.
Yeah, that's not. So it looks.
There's not even a Six Flags near.
Oh,
Lima.
Chicago. I think Chicago
would be the closest.
Six Flags over Chicago. How far is Chicago? Oh, great. 4.5
hours.
What a great Senior Skip Day. 4.5 hour drive all the way up to Chicago.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
All right. And they mentioned Six Flags a few times. I think, does Blaine mention that he's practicing to, be a summer performer at Six Flags?
I thought that was Kings Island.
Oh, was it? That makes more sense. That always made me happy because my mom was a performer at Kings Island.
Which also, that scene that we're talking about led to a really cute duet of Baby It's Cold Outside.
That was the cutest thing
it was
ever. Kings Island is, similar distance to, what is it? Westerville?
Actually, that makes it worse, because Westerville to Kings Island's 5 hours then.
Is it? Okay.
If you went...
Westerville to Kings Island. No, it's less.
I thought I was in the wrong direction of where
it's a triangle.
Was.
Westerville is by Columbus.
I see now.
And then we have, let's see, we're going to go Lima to Cedar Point and see the difference there. Cedar Point. What? Oh. Lima, Peru. Not the same. There we go. 2 hours. So Kings Island would probably be the better option, though it's pretty much the same.
Sounds like the writers don't really know Ohio geography.
Are you telling me that these writers from Los Angeles don't know anything about Ohio geography? Is that what you're telling me?
No, I'd never say anything like that.
And then the one thing that drives me more nuts than anything. So I remember Becky is a character with Down syndrome.
Yep.
And she has a really close relationship to Sue Sylvester because Sue's sister had Down syndrome. So apparently UC, University of Cincinnati, has a really good program for like special needs people,
Mhm.
special needs students. And so they go and tour UC, and it's like this beautiful looking city campus with like palm trees. And like, okay, UC is beautiful. I've been there a bunch of times. My sister went there. I went to CCM Prep, and like, it's beautiful, but it's in the middle of an urban area, and it's like cobblestone
Mhm.
and like older buildings, and it never looks like that. Everything is really close together, and it's
Yeah.
really cool actually because you can look down from one area and look into the football stadium, and then look to the other side, and there's CCM right there, and you can hear like people practicing musical instruments. It's really cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah, but it is not like it is in that show. It doesn't look like Los Angeles at all.
No, it doesn't. Should we talk about the music of Glee at all, or like?
Is it even worth it?
No, I don't think so.
Here's my review of the music from Glee. It's okay.
Yeah, I think there's some covers that I think they do that are really great.
Some of them are very embarrassing, though.
Yes, there's some bad stuff in there.
There's some bad.
And they ended up writing a lot of songs. I think this can be very hit and miss.
They were not good, I don't think.
Honestly, I like a lot of the early ones. Like, Get It Right and Loser Like Me, I like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I've come around on Light Up the World as like a fun little dance number.
Right.
Everything else, bleh.
Yeah.
Whatever. We've already talked about like their problem with how they chose songs and how it relates to plot. I want to talk about the Glee concert movie.
Oh, Nora and I and my friend Katie, we saw it. We were like the only ones in the theater, and we made Born This Way shirts.
My mom and I were the only ones who went in the theater when I saw it.
No one saw that movie.
Okay, so I also have a story about my Glee fandom.
It's also on my laptop. I have it downloaded on my case.
So for those of you who don't really know what we're talking about here, when Glee was really popular, they had concert tours where they had the actors like, you know,
They
go
were
out
in
character, sing songs, do some skits. Like, I remember there was one online where, like, Kurt would get mad when Brittany tried to flirt with Blaine.
Yeah, there was a Kurt and Blaine one that varied, like, in every city they went to, which was really funny.
Yeah. So, those happened between after season 1 and after season 2. After season 1, there was about 5 performances. They only went to, like, New York and LA. Season 2, they did a more nationwide tour, a lot more dates. And one of them was going to be in Columbus. And so I asked my parents if they would take me to go see Glee in concert.
Aww.
And they were like, no, because money. And so I was like, okay, that's okay. I can just go next year. They would not ever do a concert tour again.
No.
So when they came out with a concert movie, I was so excited. I was like, this is redemption.
This is my way back in.
This is like my reward for being so loyal to this idea. And then I didn't like the movie at all. Because like half the performance part of it was really cool. Like, I thought it was well shot, and like it's a concert movie. Like, it's really cool.
Those were really big for a while.
Yeah. And then, like, the other half was, like, a bunch of, like, high schoolers talking about how much Glee meant to them. Mm-hmm. And those were fun, nice stories, but I was absolutely of the mind of, like, I don't fucking care!
Yeah.
I came here for the concert. Yeah. I didn't come here to hear your sob stories. Yeah, fuck you.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so, yeah, I just wanted to, like, bring that up.
Yeah. No, I get that.
It's one of my favorite Glee stories, as sad as it is, talking about how I, like, had in my mind that it's okay, after season 3, I'll go to the Glee
I don't know
concert.
why they didn't, because season 3 is when it, like, really hit a height in popularity.
Yeah, like, season 3 was also really popular.
Is it because of the Glee project, maybe? I don't know. They were more focused on the Glee project.
I don't know what the reasoning was for why they were just like, we're not doing this anymore, but I know I was super bummed. Thinking that, like, it's okay, I don't have to go this year, I'll go next year, and then they never do it again.
Yeah. That almost sounded Italian. And then never do it again. We're getting tired, y'all.
Yeah, we're running deep here.
It's 10:45.
Yeah,
and we've been going for 2 hours. Thirsty Thursday.
Yeah, thirsty for Glee.
Thirsty for yelling about Glee.
Yeah, I existed here to like. I feel bad because I feel like I've talked a lot.
No, it's fine. I really enjoy hearing your opinions because I agree with a lot of them, and you know a lot more of the intricacies than I do, which I appreciate.
Because I was stupidly into the show.
No, are you kidding me? You can ask my mom if you meet her again. Like, ask her about me and Glee, and she'll go, "Oh, you want to talk about Claire and Glee? I can say some things."
Yeah, so Glee is, I don't know what I want to call it in looking back on it, really, because
it makes me feel nostalgic, but not necessarily in a good way, because it was nostalgia for a time that was not great in my life. But, like, it helped me feel better until it got worse, and then when it got bad, I felt like it angered me, and I quit because I felt like it was personally insulting me for having found meaning in it before. By taking all the things that I connected with, things like Tina and, like, The Outsiders and stuff like that, and being like, fuck you, the only thing that's important is Rachel being a star, and you're stupid if you believe otherwise, is what it felt like. And I was just like, at this point, you know, you liked Kurt and Blaine because they were, like, the only healthy relationship, and they were really cute and stuff. Well, screw you.
Screw you. They break up twice over the course of 2 seasons.
Because drama's fun, and I was like, I can't
like
anymore.
Klain in seasons 4 and 5 are
because
really
I
awful.
had to. It was like a bad relationship because it felt like it took everything personally that it knew that I appreciated about the show, and just threw it back in my face. Is like, well, you're stupid for thinking that way and appreciating it. So that's why I have a lot of animosity towards the show, is because it felt like it was insulting me back after a certain point.
I get that. I have a better nostalgia of it because I didn't have I didn't have the same like negative life happenings. Wow, that's great wording. While it was airing, and I don't have the same negative associations with it, but it's like really hard because like I would probably say that like Glee was like the first like non like kids cartoon show that I got super into, that I can remember getting like obsessively into, and seeing where it goes, I agree, it was kind of like really like sad and like personal to like see it become just
because it felt like it sold itself out.
Yeah,
I hate the term sellout because it's used by hipsters to get mad at things that they liked that other people learn to like, and they don't want to share their things.
I agree,
but this they did actually sell out because they went from like meaningful stories to like, let's sell singles to teenagers.
Yeah, and it's just and even stuff that I thought was amazing back then, I look back on and I'm like, this is not as good as I remember it being.
No. Especially because you look at American Horror Story at the same time, and it was doing amazing things, and still is. And it clearly, Ryan Murphy's attention and effort went into that instead of Glee after a while.
Yeah.
He was working on that instead.
I generally believe that, like, as a writer, Ryan Murphy is really good at coming up with, like, the beginning of a story.
He's a good producer. He knows how to get things rolling.
Yeah.
But then he gets really weird about things as they go along in the seasons.
I don't think he, like, long term, if you're asking him to come up with storylines and stuff, I don't think he knows how to do it.
I think his one solid season, he has 2 absolutely solid seasons of shows that he can proudly hang his hat on, that he did a great job through controlling all of it, and that is the first season of American Horror Story. Amazing from start to finish. There isn't any of that weird, like, plot contrivance or, like, characters acting out of character for the sake of drama.
Right.
The same thing with the first season of American Crime Story when it's covering the O.J. Simpson trial. It's very good, very realistic in the way that it covers, you know, things that happened in the trial and racial tensions around it and all of that. And The Normal Heart, but that's a movie. and
Right.
it's based on a play, so he didn't have that much control over it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that he does best, actually, when he can be darker. And I think what made Glee fail after a while is that since the audience became so heavily young, that it went from this dark comedy about this, like, teacher who is upset about, where he was in life,
Mm-hmm.
to this, teen show, which I don't think it was intended to be in the first place. Because I remember the initial advertisements for the show were about Will and Sue. I remember an advertisement where it was this woman yelling or, like, talking to this other woman in an airport and it's like, oh my god, you gotta watch this show. There's this woman, like, this cheer coach who says horrible things and, like, all this stuff, and only mentions Sue Sylvester. And so I think that is what the show was intended to be, and that's why it was better at the beginning, because that's where Ryan Murphy shines, is when it's darker and he can go more messed up.
Yeah. Also think it was better written.
Yeah.
Really. Like, the first 12 episodes feel like such a weird aberration of Glee, because, like, stuff happens, like, they prepare set lists on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Like, it becomes a plot point that, like, Sue learns their set list they've been preparing for months and shares it with other Glee clubs. So,
yeah.
And then, like, manipulates it so they go last. So then it's like, we can't use our prepared set list because it'll look like we stole from them.
Yeah, because that actually was the only time that it actually made sense that they came up with their stuff on the fly.
On the fly, because it's like, we have to do this.
Even though it turned out perfectly and their choreography was perfect. And then the judge afterwards like, they looked a little unprepared. And I'm like, okay, bullshit.
Yeah.
But
it helped, and they like, the way they did it made enough sense for why it can work, even though they didn't have it pre-prepared. Because, like, Rachel's solo, Don't Rain on My Parade, was just her. And she just stood there.
Mm-hmm.
You Can't Always Get What You Want by the Rolling Stones. That was their group number, and, like, they didn't really do a whole lot of choreography for that. And then, in the weirdest bit of continuity I've ever heard, in Glee, is that earlier in the season they do Somebody to Love by Queen.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the big popular numbers in and out of universe.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, we'll just bring that back, because it wasn't part of, like, a competition set before. And we already know it, so let's just do it again. And it's like, why don't you do that more often?
Yeah, but no, they need to sell those singles.
Yeah, I feel like, the show became about, like, selling singles and just having covers of songs, and we'll work around a plot later.
Yeah. Wow. All right, I feel like we got a lot off our chests today.
Yeah, this is very nice.
This is therapeutic for me.
It's very nice.
It feels nice to get it all out in the open. Ryan Murphy, if you ever hear this, you should know from listening up to this point that I think you're excellent at what you do.
Yeah.
And it is not your fault that this happened, because a TV show or a movie, any good filmmaker or studier of film knows that one person is never responsible for the entirety of the filmmaking process, because it takes a lot of people. So I know that, probably people from Fox were like, we need to sell more singles to the kids, and like, you had other people, you probably got more writers who had different opinions on how characters should be written, all this stuff. So keep doing what you're doing, Ryan Murphy. Your stuff is great.
Yes. And a show that I've enjoyed, and I know Claire is not as interested in, that feels like Glee, but if you played Glee straight instead of as a comedy, Rise!
I still haven't seen Rise.
I
mostly haven't seen Rise because the more people tell me to watch something, the less I want to watch it. That's why I've only seen the first half of the first season of Game of Thrones, because everyone's like, oh my god, you have to watch Game of Thrones, and I'm like, screw you, I don't want to watch Game of Thrones.
No, I completely understand that, but I just want to throw out Rise and why, and it fits because it hits a lot of the same plot beats as Glee, almost too many, but also at the same time, it's like, what if we played Glee like a drama, and that's enough to make me interested enough to watch? But it's like about a high school teacher who teaches English, but he's not fulfilled by that, so he takes over the school's theater department, and right now the theater department is like unpopular and no one cares about it, and he wants to make people care. And along the way, you get like the like you got like a closeted gay kid, and then you got the snooty, mean, popular girls, and you have the star high school football player who has to balance being on the football team with being in the theater program. Like, it hits a lot of the basic plot beats, but I also think it's interestingly done. It's done interestingly enough. Like, for example, minor spoiler, I guess that's okay with you.
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay, like...
Sorry, Mom, I know that you work for the Educational Theater Association and you really want me to watch it because you guys are, like, directly involved with the show. But I'm just not... I don't want to watch The Greatest Showman, Mom. I don't want to.
Just get that
I know
out
you
there.
really want me to, but I really don't want to.
Right.
Maybe one day, Mom. Keep going, Austin.
So, like, minor spoiler is that the popular mean girl is actually, like, the most talented actor they have. And also, Ted Mosby. I don't know his character's name. I don't care either. It's the guy who plays Ted on How I Met Your Mother. He casts someone else. Not, like, the popular girls had the lead in the school musical for 3 years, and then he's like, nope, I want to try something different. And he picks a girl who is played by the actress who does...
Cravalho.
Yeah, plays Moana. And then, like, the popular girl's like, what the fuck, man? And so, like, they don't, like, the fact that, like, the noticeably the best actress / performer isn't given the lead and how to handle that. That's something Glee never touches, except for, like, one episode in Glee, and they make Rachel, that's one of the bitchier episodes Rachel ever has.
And then she never learns her lesson.
Nope.
Because she's rewarded for it. Okay, we've
talked about Glee. I just had to throw out there. It's interesting. There's, like, I'm pretty sure, and there's, like, a kid who's, like, he has to deal with the fact that he plays a gay character in the show and in the Spring Awakening, and his parents are super religious, and he's like, "Oh God, what do I do?" And there's like there's a transgender kid who's transitioning to be a boy, and like gaining acceptance for that. And there's like stuff like that. I think it's interesting enough to be worth keep watching, even though the drama in the show goes very quickly. Like, they've resolved a lot of issues in 2 episodes.
It's just, it's mostly a lot of my problem comes from the title Rise and how I really hate being forced inspiration.
That's fair.
When everyone's like, it's so inspirational, I'm like, go away. I don't want your...
Leave!
I don't want your inspiration.
That also is a Greatest Showman problem, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't want to be inspired by P.T. Barnum. Go away, Hugh Jackman.
That sounds like the best way to end this episode. Go away, Hugh Jackman.
Go away, Hugh Jackman.
All right.
Thanks for listening.